A meteor shower brought forth meteorites that fell upon the blue planet, causing an unknown gas to alter both humanity and the flora and fauna within its bounds. 90% of humankind transformed into bloodthirsty zombies, while various mutated plants and animals proliferated. Amidst this brutal struggle for survival, Xinghe fortuitously discovered an energy crystal, merging it with the apocalypse system, thus embarking on an invincible path of enhancement. Chapter 1. The Meteor Shower on May 5, 2050, in Blue State, Huagua. An unexpected meteor shower illuminated half of the sky. The dazzling light jolted Xinghe from his slumber. What is happening? Is it already dawn? Rubbing his eyes, he drew back the curtains to gaze outside. To his astonishment, the sky was aglow with innumerable flaming fireballs as all the awakened souls flocked to their windows. Captivated by this rare spectacle. Goodness, a meteor shower. Did the media announce tonight's celestial event? How did I overlook it? Xinghe murmured to himself, eyes wide with wonder. At that moment, several meteors seemed to lose their momentum, breaking away from the procession and hurtling toward Earth. One of them was heading directly for Blue State, where Xinghe resided. Oblivious to this impending disaster, he busied himself with his phone, eager to document this extraordinary scene. I must commemorate this moment. Such a sight is a once-in-a-century occurrence. After capturing the moment, he returned to his bed and glanced at his phone. 2:10 a.m. Well, dawn is still far off. I shall sleep a little longer, for I have work tomorrow. After graduating from university, Xinghe did not follow the university's placement, but opted to work in Blue State instead. He was employed at an editing agency, earning over $4,000 a month. Although his salary was modest, the work was light, which allowed him to remain in this position. After all, he was alone. One person's sustenance sufficed for the family. Growing up in an orphanage, he had no relatives, the only person he cherished being Xiao Wanner, a girl who had shared his upbringing. Xiao Wanner excelled academically, and since they attended different universities, they lost touch after her graduation when she returned to work in Xinghe City. With a sudden thunderous roar, the sound of shattering glass followed, reverberating like thunder. The house trembled. Just as Xinghe had drifted off, he was jolted awake once more. He sat upright, a gust of wind sweeping through the shattered window, instantly dispelling his drowsiness. What now? Is sleep no longer a possibility? The relentless series of disturbances left him exasperated. Rising from his bed and donning his clothes, he stepped into the courtyard, only to be struck dumb by the sight before him. The shattered glass lay strewn across the ground, and the flower pots in disarray, resembling a scene ravaged by warfare and utter chaos. What on earth is happening? Could it be that someone's gas cylinder has exploded, causing such a tremendous force that the glass windows in the courtyard have shattered completely? How am I supposed to explain this to the landlord? Am I to pay out of pocket to replace the windows? At this moment, Xinghe's expression was one of distress. This was a small courtyard he had rented shortly after starting work, located in the suburbs. The landlord's family had gone out of town, and, not wanting the courtyard to remain vacant and lifeless, offered it to Xinghe at a low rent. At that time, his finances were tight, and the pressure of renting in the city was overwhelming, so he had no choice but to settle here. Eventually, he discovered that aside from the longer commute, everything else was quite satisfactory, and he remained for 2 years. To facilitate his travel, he even purchased a second-hand Chang'an SUV. The courtyard was situated in a small village beside the national highway, where few people resided. Most had moved to the city or gone elsewhere. The surrounding environment was relatively pleasant, and transportation was convenient. Just a 2-minute walk along a small path led to the national road, where buses to the city could be found. With a furrowed brow, Xinghe stepped out of the courtyard, eager to investigate the source of the disturbance. Upon exiting, he noticed some elderly villagers had also come out to see what had transpired. They inquired about the incident, but he had no answers, merely shaking his head. Thus, the group wandered around the village a couple of times, finding no signs of trouble or anything unusual in any household, which relieved them. Given that the village was sparsely populated, mostly by the elderly, any significant issue would indeed be challenging to address. Fortunately, since nothing seemed amiss, everyone returned to their homes. Back inside, after taking a sip of water, Xinghe suddenly recalled something he had overlooked during his patrol of the village. There seemed to be a flicker of light on the backside of the hill. His attention had primarily been on the village, and no one had paid much heed to the situation outside. Now, it occurred to him that perhaps the answer lay in the rear mountains. Stepping out once more, Xinghe decided to drive his second-hand Chang'an SUV. Though the hill was not particularly high, only a few hundred meters, crossing it on foot would take no less than 2 hours for a round trip. The village was eerily quiet now, with everyone having returned indoors, leaving no one to notice Xinghe. After a 10-minute drive along the mountainous road, he arrived at the summit. Before him lay a large crater, as if something had struck it, with a glimmer of light at the bottom and something burning. Could it be a meteorite? Li Xinghe's eyes sparkled with intrigue. There might be something valuable to uncover. However, as he reached for the car door, his hand hesitated. Could this celestial object pose a danger? Thus, Li Xinghe found himself at an impasse atop the hill. After a moment's hesitation, he resolutely decided to descend and investigate. After all, it was merely a meteorite. What harm could it bring? What was there to fear? Life is fleeting, yet death is eternal. Nevertheless, he rummaged through the trunk and retrieved a large wrench. At least it could serve as a means of protection. He drove the car into the valley, halting approximately 100 meters from the meteorite crater. After disembarking, he grasped a wrench in his hand and cautiously approached the meteorite. Traversing the distance of 100 meters, then 50 meters, and finally 20 meters, taking a full 3 minutes to do so. Upon reaching the edge of the crater, he peered down. The flames had long since subsided. The crater was modest in size, around 30 square meters and roughly 5 meters deep. Apart from a dazzling blue crystal resting at the bottom, there seemed to be nothing else of note. Could it be a rare mineral? Scanning the surroundings, he noted the stillness. He appeared to be the only one who had discovered this anomaly, especially since it was the outskirts and the hour was late, making it unlikely for anyone else to be present. Cautiously, he slid down the edge of the crater and approached the blue crystal. Out of an abundance of caution, he first prodded it with the large wrench. There shouldn't be any issues, right? Li Xinghe muttered to himself, stowing the wrench away. He picked up the blue crystal for a closer examination. It felt warm to the touch, not as scorching as he had anticipated, and continued to emit a faint glow, taking the form of a perfectly shaped diamond. There were no other remarkable features. After placing the blue crystal in his pocket and thoroughly inspecting the bottom of the crater without further discovery, Li Xinghe drove back to his accommodation. Once back in bed, he took the blue crystal from his pocket and began to examine it once more. He noticed that its luminescence had faded, rendering it rather ordinary in appearance. What could this object be? He pondered its potential value. After toiling over it for some time without reaching any conclusions, Li Xinghe gradually succumbed to slumber. Meanwhile, the blue crystal resting upon his chest began to levitate, its radiant blue light re-emerging. Ding! A living organism detected. Chapter 2, The Apocalypse System. Intelligent life form detected. Criteria met. Awaiting host confirmation for fusion. Unbeknownst to the slumbering Li Xinghe, he had endured a taxing night, having made 2 trips. As he lay fast asleep, a smile graced his lips, suggesting he was immersed in a pleasant dream, murmuring a name that seemed to belong to a girl. That night, meteorites falling across the globe drew the keen attention of high-ranking officials in various countries, who promptly dispatched specialized teams to investigate the meteorite landing sites and search for remnants. What no one realized was that the meteorites plummeting to Blue Star were releasing vast amounts of colorless, transparent gas, which rapidly mixed with the planet's atmosphere and was inhaled by humans, with flora and fauna not spared either. Ringing. Still groggy, Li Xinghe fumbled in bed for his phone, finally managing to find it. Hello, who is this? Li Xinghe. What time is it? Are you still asleep? Do you not want to work anymore? A frustrated male voice shouted from the other end. The caller was none other than Wang Li, the supervisor of Li Xinghe. Since Li joined the editorial office, he had been working under Wang's guidance, making him a product of Wang's mentorship. Wang was known for his strict approach to work, yet he extended considerable care towards Li. Oh no, I overslept. The moment he heard Wang's voice on the phone, Li snapped to attention. Glancing at his phone, he was shocked to find it was already 10:30. He hastily replied, No, Brother Wang. I stayed up too late last night and didn't realize I had overslept. I'll head to the office right away. If I don't see you in half an hour, your bonus for this month is gone. Wang warned. Understood. Li responded before quickly getting out of bed, dressing in a hurry, and foregoing washing his face. He grabbed his keys and made for the door. Suddenly, his gaze fell upon the blue crystal on the bed. Oh, I almost forgot about this. He swiftly pocketed the crystal, realizing time was of the essence, and dashed to his car. Starting the engine, he pressed the accelerator, and the SUV roared forward like a beast unleashed from its cage, merging onto the highway with great speed. As he entered the city, the traffic density increased, and the SUV's pace gradually slowed. Oh dear, it's almost 11. Why are there so many cars? He grumbled to himself, weaving through the traffic. Just then, a series of collisions occurred ahead, accompanied by screams and cries for help. Li slammed on the brakes, narrowly avoiding a rear-end collision. Drivers emerged from their vehicles, vocally berating the lead driver. What on earth? Do you not know how to drive? Sudden braking on a main road. Another driver complained. I have an important meeting to attend. What are we going to do? Lamented a female driver nearby. Quick! Call an ambulance. The person in the front seems to be in critical condition, shouted the individual at the forefront. Having noticed the driver of the offending vehicle spitting blood and convulsing as if suffering from seizures, silence fell among the crowd as everyone pulled out their phones. dialing emergency services and traffic police, eager to resolve the accident without further delay. Li, still seated in his vehicle, contemplated stepping out to assess the situation when he suddenly felt a warmth on his thigh. It was the crystal. As he retrieved it, the blue crystal unexpectedly wriggled free from his grasp, hovering in front of him. Intelligent life detected. Host, please confirm fusion. This revelation startled Li, his eyes widening in disbelief. What is this? Alien technology? It can float and even speak. Wait, what does it mean by intelligent life and fusion? Caught off guard, Li pondered the possibility that it might indeed be some extraterrestrial technology brought here by a meteorite. He decided to give it a try. Confirm fusion. At the very moment his last word escaped his lips, a blue crystal swiftly penetrated his brain, leaving him no time to react. Xinghe hurriedly touched his head, relieved to find no abnormalities. Who wouldn't be frightened by an object inexplicably entering their mind? Ding. Fusion successful. The apocalypse system has been activated. Host detected to have a weak body. Strengthening initiated. A surge of warmth emanated from Xinghe's brain, coursing throughout his body. Instantly, he felt an unprecedented sense of ease and an exhilarating surge of power. How extraordinary. Apocalypse system, what is your purpose? Host. The apocalypse system is the pinnacle of wisdom from the apocalypse star. This system can absorb biological energy to enhance all things. Enhance all things? How remarkable. Could it be that the energy which just reinforced my body came from this? Xinghe pondered aloud. Indeed, host. The system's energy has been depleted. Please replenish it promptly. How do I replenish energy? Xinghe inquired once more. By defeating living beings, or it can also be replenished through energy entities. Defeating living beings? What kind of beings? Chickens, ducks, or pigs? And what exactly is an energy entity? At that moment, countless thoughts raced through Xinghe's mind. Do not worry, host. A surge of energy fluctuations has been detected nearby. An opportunity to gather energy has arrived. Energy fluctuations? Just as Xinghe was consumed by confusion, a commotion erupted outside the vehicle. He witnessed a stir in the crowd ahead, accompanied by gasps of astonishment. Stay away from him. He's gone mad. He's insane. A man, the first to investigate, shouted in panic while retreating, blood dripping from his hand. The crowd behind him began to back away in fear. Xinghe quickly exited the car to investigate. Approaching the throng, he inquired about the situation. Don't mention it. What bad luck. I approached to check on the driver. But unexpectedly, I was bitten. The man grimaced, clutching his bleeding hand. Could he have rabies? A stylish woman in an office outfit remarked. No way. The bitten man replied hastily. But upon reflection, he realized the symptoms of the man who bit him resembled those of rabies, causing him to panic. I need to go to the hospital for a checkup when the ambulance arrives. With that, he turned to his car to find something to bandage his wound. Xinghe cautiously approached the afflicted man's vehicle, where the door was ajar, revealing the man writhing in his seat. The sight of Xinghe further agitated him. He struggled violently, mouth agape, spewing blood and froth, eyes reddened, resembling a madman. Had it not been for the seatbelt's restraint, he would have surely lunged at Xinghe. The man's condition startled Xinghe, prompting him to step back. Damn it, you scared me. What in the world is this? Chapter 3. An outbreak of anomalies suddenly. A voice resonated in Xinghe's mind, alerting him to the presence of an energy entity. Warning, an energy-based biological specimen detected. Immediate termination is advised. What nonsense is this? System? This is a human being. Are you suggesting I commit murder? Xinghe exclaimed in disbelief. We are in an era of peace, and killing is unlawful. Regardless of the time period, taking a life is no trivial matter. I certainly do not wish to face dire consequences. Host. The entity before you will soon cease to be human. Genetic mutations have been detected within, and it is on the verge of physical collapse, transforming into a failed evolutionary specimen. Due to the presence of an energy source within, immediate termination is strongly recommended. Should it evolve into a failed state, its attributes will significantly increase, and the difficulty of extermination will escalate dramatically. Perhaps sensing Xinghe's hesitation, the system elaborated further. While he comprehended the gravity of the situation, he found himself paralyzed by fear. Not only did he grapple with the moral implications of taking a life, but he was also acutely aware of the many witnesses surrounding him. If he were to act, he would undoubtedly be apprehended by the authorities. As Xinghe pondered, a sudden crash echoed through the air. It was the rabid patient, or rather, the failed evolutionary specimen, who had managed to free himself from his restraints and tumbled out of the vehicle. He staggered to his feet and lunged towards Xinghe. Goodness! I was contemplating whether or not to take action, and you have the audacity to strike first. As the creature lunged at him, Xinghe instinctively delivered a kick. Bam! The failed specimen collided with the car door, only to attempt to rise once more. The onlookers, now aware of the unfolding danger, began to retreat. At that moment, police officers and an ambulance arrived in quick succession. Xinghe hurriedly positioned himself behind the crowd. Two officers approached the throng, inquiring about the incident and urging the onlookers to disperse in order to maintain traffic flow. "Officer, that man is suffering from rabies and attacks anyone in sight. Look at my hand, he bit me." A previously bitten individual interjected hastily. The officers exchanged glances, then surveyed the man at the center of the crowd. One officer, with dark skin, commanded, "Everyone, immediately step back." His authoritative voice captured the attention of the failed evolutionary specimen, which then turned and charged towards him, eliciting gasps from the crowd. The officer assumed a defensive stance. As the man lunged at him, he deftly sidestepped to the left, evading the attack, and landed a kick to the man's calf. Once the man collapsed, the officer swiftly mounted him, securing his arms behind his back to temporarily restrain him. "Where are the medical personnel? Hurry up," the other officer called out. We're here. A doctor, accompanied by two assistants, approached rapidly. The assistants unfurled a stretcher, and with the officer's assistance, they secured the afflicted man onto the stretcher before loading him into the ambulance. "We shall take our leave now, comrade. The patient requires immediate medical examination," the leading doctor addressed the dark-skinned traffic officer. "Very well. Exercise caution on the road. The patient exhibits high levels of aggression." "Understood," the doctor replied as he prepared to enter the vehicle. At that moment, the previously injured man rushed forward. "Wait, I've been bitten. I need to be examined as well. Take me with you." "Quickly, get in the car," came the response. With that, both individuals entered the vehicle, and the ambulance's siren blared as it sped away. "All right, everyone disperse. Resume your activities," instructed the dark-skinned officer, who, along with another traffic officer, began to clear the crowd and direct traffic. The congested road soon became clear. Standing at the periphery, Xinghe observed the farcical scene come to a close and hurriedly made his way to his vehicle. He nearly forgot about his urgent need to reach the editorial office, leaving aside thoughts of the failed evolutionary entities for the time being. At the Rongxing editorial office, the tardy Xinghe found himself receiving a reprimand from Wang Li. He dared not utter a word in protest, for it was his own fault for sleeping in. Arriving at the office close to noon, he pledged to Wang Li that he would utilize the lunchtime to catch up on his writing. Since this morning, there have been numerous incidents involving rabid patients attacking people across various locations in Lanchao. Moreover, according to internal reports, this phenomenon is not limited to Lanchao. It has manifested throughout the entirety of Huaguo. You must promptly compose an article regarding this situation and submit it to me before the end of the workday. Wang Li instructed after concluding his reprimand. "Oh, and also write about last night's meteor shower." "Understood, Brother Wang. I will ensure the tasks are completed." "Now, off you go," Wang Li gestured. "All right, I shall get to work," Xinghe responded before disappearing from sight. "This lad is perpetually disorganized," Wang Li muttered as he lit a cigarette, inhaling deeply and exhaling smoke rings through his nose. Rabid patients attacking others, and a once-in-a-century meteor shower. What could be the connection? What a remarkable coincidence, he pondered while seated in his chair. Meanwhile, as Xinghe walked back to his workstation, he reflected on Wang Li's words regarding the nationwide rabid patient attacks, the meteor shower, and the events he had just experienced that morning, realizing it was no mere coincidence. "Ah, the apocalypse system," he thought. "Surely those rabid patients cannot all be failed evolutionary entities? By the way, how are these failed mutants generated? And could it be linked to last night's meteor shower?" A flurry of questions swirled in Xinghe's mind, eagerly awaiting answers. "Host, your suspicions are indeed correct. Those rabid patients are all failed evolutionary entities. At this stage, they have not yet fully transformed. Typically, this condition culminates in 4 hours, leading to a physical collapse and decay, rendering them bloodthirsty and aggressive towards all living beings. Their bodies will gain enhancements, making it exceedingly difficult for an unarmed individual to contend with them. Furthermore, anyone who is bitten by their claws or teeth will undergo mutation, becoming one of their kind. The apocalypse system elucidated. Regarding the origins of their emergence, it has been previously mentioned that genetic mutations are responsible, with these mutations instigated by meteorites brought forth by meteor showers. The substances carried by these meteorites reacted rapidly with the atmosphere of the blue planet, generating gases that fostered the evolution of both human beings and flora and fauna. If genes are unable to adapt to such transformations, mutations will inevitably occur. A series of explanations left Xinghe pondering for quite some time. Firstly, this failed evolutionary entity bore a striking resemblance to the zombies depicted in American cinema. Let us henceforth refer to them as zombies. Furthermore, it was indeed the meteorites from the meteor showers that triggered this calamity. Suddenly, Xinghe recalled the system's earlier directive for him to exterminate these failed evolutionary beings, nay, zombies, to absorb energy, and he hurriedly inquired of the system. System. Do all zombies possess energy that can be absorbed? Indeed, host. Each zombie harbors energy that can be harvested. With this revelation, Xinghe comprehended the situation entirely. A zombie crisis was imminent. The scenes once confined to novels and films were about to manifest in reality, leaving him momentarily at a loss. The apocalypse system detected the turmoil within Xinghe's heart and promptly reassured him, there is no need for concern, host. Your body has been fortified by this system. As long as you possess a suitable weapon, dealing with ordinary zombies will pose no significant challenge. Furthermore, the energy collected can be utilized to enhance your capabilities, rendering you even stronger, thus alleviating any further worries. In truth, even an average individual, armed with a proper weapon and overcoming psychological fears with caution, could vanquish a zombie. What is there to fear? I have the system by my side. Just as Xinghe was lost in contemplation, a colleague suddenly lunged toward him. What the? With a swift motion, Xinghe kicked him away, sending his colleague crashing into the wall, after which he fell silent. At that moment, Xinghe's heart raced. Hello? Is this an ambulance? We have a rabies patient here. Chapter 4. Acquisition of a machete. Another individual has succumbed to the illness. What on earth is happening? Why are so many people contracting rabies now? Indeed, the cases are proliferating. Colleagues exchanged anxious remarks, while those bitten were whisked away by ambulances to the hospital. Witnessing this scene, Xinghe resolved that he could not remain idle. He must take action. At the very least, he needed to secure a suitable weapon promptly. With determination, he rose and made his way towards his SUV, dialing Xiao Wanner's number as he walked. Hello, Xinghe. Why are you calling me at this hour? Shouldn't you be at work? A melodious female voice resonated from the other end. Listen, Wanner, what I am about to say may be hard to believe, but you must heed my instructions. Return home immediately and stockpile a considerable amount of food. Do not step outside. Wait for me to come find you. Ah, why, Xinghe? Xiao Wanner responded, confused. Today, you are aware of the reported incidents involving rabies patients attacking individuals. Without further inquiries, this is related to that matter. You must heed my advice and refrain from venturing outside or opening the door to anyone until I find you. Xinghe instructed earnestly. Very well. It just so happens that I am due for a break. I shall request leave this afternoon and return home. Trusting Xinghe, Xiao Wanner acquiesced. Moreover, she had heard about the rabies incidents, which had escalated across the country, filling her with trepidation. Indeed, make sure to stock up on food and absolutely avoid going out. All right. Xinghe, you must also take care of your safety, Xiao Wanner whispered with concern. Rest assured. After concluding the call with Xiao Wanner, Xinghe opened his phone's map application and searched for nearby knife and sword collectors, then drove to the location. Upon arriving at a shop, he gazed up at an antique sign emblazoned with the characters Dao Jiangu, exuding grandeur. It appeared to be quite impressive. He wondered about the quality of the items within. As he pondered, he stepped inside. Upon entering, he found himself in a spacious hall adorned with an array of blades, each more dazzling than the last. Directly ahead was a counter where a middle-aged man was polishing a long sword. Noticing Xinghe's entrance, the man's eyes brightened. Business had arrived. He promptly set the sword aside and approached Xinghe, inquiring, Young brother, what can I assist you with? Our store offers a plethora of collectible blades. I am certain you will find one to your liking. I seek a knife. Might you kindly provide me with some recommendations? Xinghe replied. Certainly. Why opt for a knife over a sword? With the apocalypse looming, one must accumulate energy for the future by eliminating zombies. And a knife is far more convenient than a sword. The threshold for wielding a knife is lower, enabling simpler use with greater lethality. Wielding a sword feels rather peculiar. As the shopkeeper spoke, he guided Xinghe through the collection. Here, we have miao knives, mother and son knives, short knives, tang knives, and ring-headed knives. At that moment, the shopkeeper noticed Xinghe's gaze fixating on a particular knife and enthusiastically remarked, This is a miao knife, measuring 140 centimeters in length with a 100 centimeters blade. Crafted from high-carbon steel, the handle, measuring 40 centimeters, is made from 60-year-old purple sandalwood. This piece is a fine specimen, young brother, should you choose it. I'll offer you a discount. The miao knife, with its elongated blade, possesses the characteristics of both knife and spear, allowing for versatile use with one or both hands, thus enabling the wielder to harness their overall strength. In close combat, it allows for rapid and fierce strikes, flowing seamlessly with the user's movements, making it a formidable weapon. The more Xinghe observed, the more he was enamored. I'll take it. How much is it? The shopkeeper's face lit up with joy at the prospect of making a sale. 5,000. Very well, it's a deal. Xinghe readily agreed. The shopkeeper was momentarily taken aback. This young man was behaving unexpectedly, deviating from the customary back-and-forth negotiation. However, he quickly realized that the individual might be quite affluent. Since the person seemed indifferent, he had no objections. All right, I shall wrap it up for you. Wait a moment. Upon hearing this, the shopkeeper's expression changed abruptly. He feared that the young man might reconsider his decision. Please help me sharpen it, boss, Xinghe continued. The shopkeeper initially sighed in relief, but then his face displayed a look of concern. Young man, sharpening is not permitted. I cannot assist you with that. An additional 3,000, Xinghe's voice resounded. The shopkeeper hesitated once more. 5,000, Xinghe stated again. Very well, no problem. The shopkeeper's smile returned. Completing this transaction would fill his coffers. How could he not be delighted? In the past, Xinghe would have haggled over prices. But given the current circumstances, imminent apocalypse and a zombie outbreak, who would still care about such trifles? After today, even wiping oneself would seem a chore. After settling the payment, the shopkeeper instructed him to return in 2 hours to collect the blade. Stepping outside, he glanced at his phone, where notifications flooded in regarding rabid individuals attacking others. Official platforms urged people to remain indoors and to promptly report any sightings of rabid patients to the police, who would cooperate with hospitals for treatment. Those bitten were advised to seek medical attention immediately. The rabid incidents had swept across the nation within a mere morning, instilling fear in everyone. Experts were at a loss, unable to ascertain why such a sudden outbreak was occurring. Rabies typically has an incubation period, and given that most people were vaccinated, it was inconceivable that so many could fall ill simultaneously. Furthermore, the grand meteor shower and meteorite event from the previous night seemed to intertwine with these occurrences. Numerous posts online proliferated with theories of doomsday, divine retribution against humanity, and speculations about bioweapons from certain countries. Many commented, while others reassured everyone to trust the government and believe that the state would resolve the situation. Upon reading these, Xinghe couldn't help but chuckle. These keyboard warriors always propagated doomsday theories at the slightest hint of calamity. Yet, this time, their predictions bore an eerie truth. The apocalypse was indeed upon them. While Xinghe was aware of the impending doom, he chose not to voice his thoughts. At this moment, even if he spoke up, no one would believe him, merely dismissing him as a fool. Perhaps he had watched too many zombie films. Putting away his phone, he noticed a supermarket across the street. Time was of the essence. He hurriedly purchased essential supplies and equipment, high-calorie foods like chocolate and energy bars, waterproof jackets, hiking boots, and more. By the end, he had filled 3 large shopping carts with an assortment of items. Observing the murmurs of those around him, Xinghe paid them no mind. He simply wished to check out and leave swiftly. At the checkout, the cashier was equally astonished, yet she maintained a smile while processing his payment. Hello, sir. Your total is 13,256 yuan. Would you prefer to pay via WeChat or cash? WeChat, Xinghe replied. Could you assist me in carrying this to my vehicle? It's located in the parking lot across the street. No problem at all, sir, the cashier responded with a grin. With the help of 2 supermarket employees, Xinghe managed to load 3 carts full of supplies into his SUV, the trunk overflowing and the back seat brimming with goods. Now all that remained was to acquire the machete, after which he could secure a safe haven to weather the initial chaos of the zombie outbreak. After all, wandering the streets amidst a zombie apocalypse would be tantamount to courting death. Glancing at his watch, he noted it was already 3:50 p.m. It was time to retrieve the blade. Boss, how's it going? Is my machete ready? Upon hearing Xinghe's voice, the shop owner emerged from the back room, holding the coveted weapon. Here you go, young man. It's just been finished. Take a look and see if it meets your satisfaction. Accepting the machete from the shopkeeper's hands, Xinghe appreciated its perfect weight, the blade already honed to a razor-sharp edge. Not bad at all, a splendid blade, he remarked with approval. Let me package it for you. The shopkeeper retrieved a scabbard and a wooden box, carefully placing the machete inside before securing it for transport. With the wooden box slung over his shoulder, Xinghe departed for his next destination. Chapter 5. The zombie outbreak in front of the Huanyu Hotel. Huanyu Hotel is a renowned 5-star establishment in Blue State, known for its exceptional service. Were it not for the impending apocalypse, Xinghe would never have the opportunity to stay in such a luxurious venue, primarily due to the cost, as the most affordable room would still set one back over 1,000 yuan per night, not to mention the extravagant presidential suites, which could easily exceed 10,000 yuan a night, effectively deterring most individuals with modest incomes. So why choose this place? On one hand, the hour was growing late, and Xinghe wished to avoid further wandering. Should the zombie outbreak occur while he was still searching for a suitable refuge, he would be left with no escape, facing countless zombies with no hope of survival, perhaps even leaving behind a dismembered corpse. On the other hand, it was a weekday, and the Huanyu Hotel had relatively few guests, making it a safer option in the event of an outbreak. Upon entering the lobby, he promptly booked a luxurious presidential suite. As the front desk attendant gazed at him in astonishment, he followed the butler into the elevator. It was indeed an unexpected sight. A seemingly ordinary young man checking into a lavish presidential suite was beyond anyone's imagination. Once inside the room, Xinghe was taken aback by the lavish amenities: 3 bedrooms, a recreational lounge, a reception area, a fully equipped kitchen, a walk-in closet, a study, an outdoor swimming pool, and a gym. Additionally, a private chef was at his disposal, and a butler stood ready at the entrance. It was clear he had been rather naive. After requesting the butler to prepare some food, he dismissed him, indicating that he could be summoned at any time via the bell should the need arise. Setting aside the machete, Xinghe reclined upon the soft expanse of the bed. The exertion of procuring the weapon and gathering supplies had rendered him utterly fatigued, and he soon succumbed to slumber. After an indeterminate passage of time, Xinghe was abruptly awakened, realizing he had drifted into a deep sleep, a testament to his exhaustion and heightened anxiety. Rising, he discerned that night had fallen, the clock revealing it was already 6 o'clock. He had slept nearly 2 hours. The butler had set the dining table with warm food, and as he indulged in his evening meal, he couldn't help but acknowledge the exquisite flavors that distinguished this 5-star establishment. No sooner had he finished his meal than he heard commotion outside. Approaching the door, he peered through the peephole, but saw nothing. Pressing his ear against the door, he could distinctly hear a woman's piercing screams. "Don't come near me! Don't come near me! Monster! Help! Help!" accompanied by chilling growls. These sounds seemed far beyond what a human could produce. Before Xinghe could open the door to investigate, the woman's cries ceased abruptly, followed by an unsettling sound of gnawing in the now silent corridor, raising the hairs on the back of his neck. Could it be a zombie? It must be. Given the hour, the outbreak had likely commenced. Furrowing his brow, Xinghe muttered to himself. Suddenly, realization struck him, and he dashed to the balcony. Through the window, he observed the street in chaos, teeming with zombies. Smoke billowed from overturned vehicles, likely the result of drivers transforming into the undead, causing uncontrollable collisions. The air was filled with screams and cries for help, mingling with the roars of the zombies, prompting disbelief that this was still his familiar blue star. How could such horror unfold in a single day, rendering it unbearable? Before anyone could fully comprehend the situation, zombies had begun their rampage. The astute had already retreated indoors, while those remaining outside largely met gruesome fates, either reduced to mere bones or transformed into creatures akin to their assailants. Blood and corpses littered the streets. The once thriving city lay in disarray. Had the outbreak fully erupted in the time it took him to nap? Gazing at the scene before him, Xinghe felt a wave of introspection. What was destined to come had finally arrived. Since reality had set in, he resolved to confront it with courage. Warner was waiting for him. Returning to the living room, he retrieved the sharpened machete from the wooden box, a surge of confidence coursing through him. With a weapon in hand, he felt less vulnerable against the zombies. Approaching the door once more, he pressed his ear to it. The gnawing continued, indicating the zombie was still feasting. Slowly, he turned the doorknob, and as the door creaked open, he peered through the crack to survey the corridor beyond. A male zombie, clad in the attire of a butler, lay prostrate on the ground, voraciously gnawing on the corpse of a female. The scene was grotesquely sanguine, nearly causing Xinghe, who had just finished his meal, to retch. He managed, however, to suppress the urge, knowing that such a reaction would surely attract the attention of the undead. Time was of the essence, he mused. He was a mere 5 or 6 meters away from the zombie, which had its back turned to him. If he dashed forward with utmost speed, he could strike just as the creature turned. Ding! Attention, host. The zombie's weakness lies in its head. Only a severe blow to the cranium can lead to its demise. The system's voice chimed in, timely and fortuitous. With this knowledge at hand, Xinghe resolved not to squander such a splendid opportunity. He steadied his breath and pushed the door wide open, the creaking sound drawing the zombie's attention. As it began to turn, Xinghe surged forward, taking 3 steps in 2, and swung his machete with precision, cleaving off half of the creature's head in a single strike. The machete proved to be remarkably sharp, far more effective than he had anticipated. He was taken aback by his own swiftness. The zombie had barely begun to pivot before it was vanquished, its head halved with alarming ease. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have slain a level 1 zombie and earned 10 energy points. Please collect the crystal core from the zombie's brain, the system announced. A level 1 zombie? And a crystal core? What could that possibly be? Host, the recently evolved zombie is classified as a level 1. Zombies continue to evolve as they consume, advancing to levels 2, 3, and beyond, while the crystal core serves as the energy source, providing sustenance to the undead, the system elucidated. Understanding dawned on Xinghe. He approached the severed head of the zombie, revealing a gruesome mixture of red, white, and yellow, all accompanied by a pungent metallic scent that made him gag once more. Good gracious, he exclaimed inwardly, feeling overwhelmed. As he prodded the brain with his machete, A transparent crystal core rolled out. He set it aside, rinsed it in clean water, and scrutinized it closely. It appeared rather unremarkable, merely a clear crystal. At that moment, the system's voice resonated again. Energy crystal detected. Do you wish to convert it into energy? Affirmative. Why hold on to it when it serves no purpose? He replied. No sooner had he spoken than a beam of azure light shot from his forehead, and the transparent crystal core vanished from his grasp, presumably transformed into energy. Disregarding the two corpses in the corridor, Xinghe hurried back to his room. After taking a sip of water, he entered a contemplative state and summoned the system. System, did you say you could enhance all things through energy? Indeed, host. Your own body has already been fortified, the system responded. At this revelation, Xinghe suddenly grasped the implications. Indeed, from the morning's narrow escape from the evolved entity to his explosive speed in dispatching the zombie, it was evident that his physical capabilities had significantly improved. With determination, I shall continue to fortify my body and emerge stronger. System, may I inquire how much energy is required for a single enhancement? Host, this morning's bodily enhancement was prompted by the system's detection of your insufficient strength. Utilizing residual energy for a basic upgrade. To elevate your physique to a level 1 evolutionary form requires 100 points of energy. You have acquired 10 points from the recent defeat of a zombie, and another 10 from the crystal core, yielding a total of 20 points per zombie vanquished. It appears that I must eliminate 4 more zombies to achieve the level 1 evolutionary status, Xinghe pondered. The immediate priority is to clear this floor of zombies and accumulate sufficient energy for the evolution. After gathering his belongings, he donned a small hiking backpack filled with provisions and water, switched into a tactical jacket and hiking boots, and armed himself with a machete before stepping out once more. Chapter 6. The successful ascension to level 1 evolutionary. Upon entering the corridor, he found the zombies and the female corpse still lying there. The task at hand was to cleanse this level of the undead. However, most of the doors were tightly shut, and without keys, entry was nearly impossible. Approaching the female corpse, he realized, in his previous haste, he had overlooked the gruesome sight before him. Her entrails had been mostly devoured, her face frozen in a mask of terror, a chilling sight in the dim light. Just as he was about to depart, he noticed a small brown bag beside the corpse. Judging by her attire, it seemed she too was a guest and might possess a room card. Snatching up the bag, he opened it to find, indeed, a room card, S105. She must have been staying in room 5, while he was in room 2, conveniently located nearby. Reaching room 5, he pressed his ear against the door to listen for any sounds. Hearing none, he used the room card to unlock the door and slowly pushed it open. Before him lay a spacious living room, devoid of any hiding places. After securing the door behind him, Xinghe began to inspect the various rooms, the bedroom, kitchen, study, balcony, and gym, all devoid of zombies. As he was about to leave, he glanced up and noticed the bathroom. Feeling an urgent need to relieve himself, which had been overshadowed by the earlier tension, he could no longer hold it in. He pushed open the bathroom door, only to be startled by the sight of a woman standing there. Suddenly, she spun around, her face grotesque, with decaying flesh and teeth bared, and let out a terrifying roar as she lunged at him. In shock, Xinghe realized he had neglected to inspect the bathroom. He dashed into the living room, seizing the machete from the table. Before he could draw his weapon, the female zombie was nearly upon him. He swiftly dodged her initial attack, kicking over the table to impede her progress. As she maneuvered around the obstruction to charge at him again, Xinghe seized the opportunity to unsheath his machete. As the zombies charged forward, a swift thrust pierced the creature's mouth. Leveraging the zombie's momentum, the blade penetrated through its skull. The female zombie ceased her struggles, allowing Xinghe to discern her condition. A cleaning uniform suggested she had been a hotel maid, transforming into a zombie while cleaning a suite. Trapped in the bathroom due to a closed door, Xinghe's quiet movements had prevented either party from noticing the other. This oversight nearly placed him in peril, awakening him to the ever-present dangers of the apocalypse. He could not afford to be complacent. Moreover, the knife must remain in hand. If he wielded it, there would be no need to flee. Ding, collected 10 energy points. Please gather crystal cores promptly. The system's voice resonated. Withdrawing the knife, the zombie collapsed lifelessly to the ground. He proceeded to slice open the zombie's head, extracting a white crystal, rinsing it clean with water before holding it aloft, exclaiming, "Absorb." The crystal vanished in an instant. Finally, he could relieve himself. The tension was overwhelming. After resolving the situation, Xinghe returned to the living room. Glancing at the cleaning zombie sprawled on the floor. Surely, she must possess key cards for other rooms. How else could she have accessed them? He rummaged through her attire and indeed discovered 4 room cards. Excellent. Just when he was pondering how to enter the other rooms, fortune smiled upon him. The cards were for rooms S101, S103, S104, and S106. With 6 suites on this floor, and now 4 cards in hand, he planned to inspect each room sequentially, eliminating any zombies within. Arriving at the door of S101, Xinghe first knocked the hilt of his knife against the door. Soon hearing the growls of zombies and the sound of objects being toppled within, there was something inside. Excitement surged through him. This could mean energy. He yearned to reach level 1, as even a basic enhancement had significantly bolstered his physical strength. He could hardly fathom the transformations that lay ahead. After knocking for a while, the zombies inside rushed toward the sound, relentlessly pounding on the door. With a swift swipe of the room card, the door unlocked. And with a powerful kick, he flung it open. The door crashed inward, toppling the zombie behind it. He advanced quickly, driving his blade into the creature's neck, severing its massive head, which continued to emit growls. Remarkably resilient, the creature still clung to life. Another strike, and its head split in two, revealing the crystal core, which he promptly instructed the system to absorb. With 40 energy points amassed, only 3 more kills would suffice, confirming the absence of any zombies. Xinghe proceeded to the adjacent room, S103, which had previously been silent. He rapped on the door with the handle, but received no response after a lengthy pause. Upon pushing the door open, he conducted a thorough inspection. The layout was identical, and not a single zombie was present. Moving on to S104. He encountered the same lack of activity, much to his dismay. Was his luck truly so bleak? Onward he went, and as soon as he knocked on the next door, a flurry of commotion erupted from within, a cacophony of relentless banging. Finally, he had found a zombie. Without hesitation, he kicked the door open. The zombie, stumbling backward, managed to maintain its balance. Nevertheless, Xinghe swiftly delivered a decisive blow, cleaving the creature's head in two. This particular zombie was male, clad in a bathrobe. Just as he was about to crouch down to search for the crystal nucleus, another zombie, this time a female draped in a similar robe, burst forth from the bathroom. There was no time to rise. He braced himself against the ground and executed a sweeping kick, sending the zombie sprawling. Before it could recover, he struck again, severing its head from its body. Breathless, Xinghe felt his adrenaline surge. The flurry of actions, though brief, merely 2 or 3 seconds, had been fraught with peril, as even a moment's lapse could have resulted in injury from the zombies. Fortunately, the enhancements from the morning's training had significantly sharpened his reflexes, allowing him to respond with remarkable speed. After a brief respite and a thorough inspection of all potential hiding spots for zombies, Xinghe extracted 2 crystal nuclei from the heads of the fallen creatures. With only 1 zombie remaining, he noted that he had thoroughly searched all 6 rooms on this floor. It seemed he would need to ascend to the 9th floor. Opting against the elevator, who knew whether it would lead to an empty space or a horde of zombies, he descended the fire escape to the 9th floor. Peering through the glass of the safety door into the corridor, he spotted several zombies wandering about. A quick count revealed 5 of them. How was he to tackle this predicament? 5 zombies. He had barely managed 2 on his own, let alone 5. After pondering the situation for an extended period, an idea struck him as he caught sight of the fire cabinet in the stairwell. The cabinet contained a fire axe, and the window of the safety door was not particularly thick. With the axe, he could likely smash through it in one blow. Securing the safety door and shattering the glass would allow him to take down the zombies one by one through the small window. Having confirmed the feasibility of his plan, Xinghe sprang into action. He locked the safety door and raised the fire axe, bringing it down with force. With a resounding crash, the glass shattered, drawing the attention of the 5 zombies, who came barreling towards him, colliding violently against the safety door, creating a gap that made Xinghe's heart leap into his throat. If the door were to be breached, the only option left would be to flee back to the 10th floor. Fortunately, the security door held firm, though it creaked ominously under the relentless assault of the zombies. Xinghe realized that he could not afford to hesitate, uncertain of how much longer the door would withstand the onslaught. With a firm grip on his spear, he plunged it into the head of the zombie that reached through, delivering a fatal blow. The fallen creature was soon pushed aside by others, and another zombie extended its head into the fray, prompting Xinghe to strike again. Ding! Energy accumulation has reached 100 points. Please select a target for enhancement. The voice of the apocalypse system resonated like a melodious chime in Xinghe's mind. Without a moment's hesitation, he responded internally, "Enhance my body." As soon as the words left his mind, a blue light enveloped him. A wave of refreshing sensation coursed from his feet to the crown of his head, leaving him unable to suppress a groan of delight. What ecstasy! Congratulations, host, you have successfully enhanced to level 1 evolutionary body. The system's voice jolted Xinghe back to reality. There was no time to savor the moment, for the security door was suddenly breached. Roar. Chapter 7. Unlocking the attribute inspection feature with the door shattered. 3 zombies lunged toward Xinghe, their howls echoing in the air. Feeling the surge of strength within him, his confidence soared. He did not retreat. With a swift arc of his spear, the foremost zombie's head was sent flying. The remaining two, undeterred by fear, charged forward without pause. He lifted his foot and kicked the second zombie away, sending it skidding 6 or 7 meters. In one fluid motion, he drove his spear into the eye of the last zombie. At that moment, the downed zombie was just beginning to rise. Pulling out his spear, Xinghe approached it, and with a gentle flick, the creature fell silent, its head rolling away, still attached by skin. Having dispatched all the zombies, Xinghe felt no fatigue. Instead, he was invigorated, energy coursing through his body. He wiped the blood from his spear and collected the crystal cores, converting them all into energy through the system. Not wishing to tally the gains meticulously, Xinghe directly inquired, "System, how much energy do I have now?" After deducting the 100 points used for enhancement, you currently possess 80 points of energy. Ah, this was indeed a windfall. Xinghe nodded in satisfaction. Host, due to your successful enhancement to level 1 evolutionary body, the attribute inspection feature has now been unlocked. What is the attribute inspection feature? Xinghe asked, curiosity piqued. The attribute inspection feature allows you to view the basic attribute data of any object or being. The attributes of an ordinary person typically amount to 888, corresponding to strength, speed, and mental power, while the attributes of these ordinary zombies stand at 961. I see. So it implies that although normal humans may be slightly inferior in strength compared to zombies, they excel in other attributes. Therefore, as long as one can conquer their inner fears, confronting zombies is not an impossible task. By the way, system, what are my current attributes? Xinghe inquired with curiosity. Your current attributes stand at 151, 516, a significant enhancement from the previous 910 before reaching the first level. With such formidable attributes, Xinghe felt he could effortlessly confront 7 or 8 zombies simultaneously, especially with the Meow knife in hand. Even national-level athletes could not compare to his prowess. However, he reminded himself not to grow complacent. Zombies could afford to fail countless times, but he possessed only one life. How much energy is required to evolve from a level 1 to a level 2 entity? 1,000 points of energy, the system replied. Wow, that has quite a leap, tenfold. To be exact, host, each enhancement yields tremendous improvements, and consequently, the energy consumed increases substantially. Alright, 1,000 points of energy, which translates to slaying 50 more zombies. The journey ahead is daunting. Navigating past several zombies, Xinghe entered the corridor on the 9th floor. Most of the doors lined along the hallway stood ajar, and blood and remnants spattered across the walls and floor, indicating that few survivors remained on this level. Upon reaching room 1, Xinghe noticed the doors were wooden, and lacking a room card, he decided to use his Meow knife to jab at the lock. After several strikes, he forcefully kicked the door open, revealing 2 zombies inside, which he promptly dispatched with ease. After ensuring no threats lurked within, he proceeded to the next room, where he encountered only 1 zombie, which he likewise eliminated with a single stroke. It was not until the final few rooms that Xinghe faced a modicum of challenge. As he performed his usual routine, he was taken aback when a teddy dog suddenly dashed out as he kicked the door open. Caught off guard by the presence of a dog, he noted its remarkable speed, far surpassing that of an ordinary teddy. Had he not fortified himself beforehand, he might have been caught off guard. He kicked the teddy back, but astonishingly, it flipped upright and charged at him once more. This is relentless, Xinghe thought, and without hesitation, he drew his Meow knife, cleaving the teddy in 2, its entrails and blood splattering across the floor. It was then that he realized this was a zombie dog. No wonder it had withstood his kick. Had it been an ordinary teddy, his blow would have surely killed it instantly. The transformation of even animals into zombies underscored the pervasive horror of this apocalypse. With a sigh of lament, he entered the room to investigate. The teddy's agility suggested that its owner was likely beyond salvation. Its speed must have reached 10, far exceeding that of an average human. Inside, he discovered a woman lying in a pool of blood, her innards exposed and her head mangled beyond recognition. She likely never anticipated that she would meet her demise at the hands of her own dog, a truly tragic fate. Continuing to the next room, he found the door slightly ajar. Upon entering and inspecting the space, he found it devoid of anything noteworthy and relatively clean. As the hour grew late, Xinghe decided to spend the night there. Setting down his backpack, Xinghe entered the bathroom. Seizing the opportunity while there was still electricity, he indulged in a hot shower. Upon returning to the living room, he opened his backpack, retrieved some food and water, and after a simple meal to satiate his hunger, he lay down on the bed. System, how much energy do I possess now? Host, you currently have a total of 160 points of energy, the system replied. Why is it 160 points? Did I not kill 3 zombies and 1 teddy? Li Xinghe inquired, puzzled. The energy gained from slaying a single zombie, along with the energy from the crystal core, totals 20 points, while the energy from the zombie dog amounts to 30 points. Understanding dawned on Li Xinghe. Indeed, despite the smaller stature of the zombie dog, its speed far surpassed that of ordinary zombies, making it considerably more perilous and justifying the allocation of 30 energy points. Reclining on the bed, Li Xinghe reflected on the events of the day. Though merely a span of 24 hours, it had been rife with experiences. The world was no longer as it had been yesterday, and he was no longer the Li Xinghe of the previous day, while others cowered in their homes. Contemplating ways to evade the zombies, he had grown stronger through their extermination. Returning to his thoughts, he recognized that he required 840 points of energy to advance to a level 2 evolutionary form, which necessitated the elimination of at least 40 more zombies. The immediate priority was to cleanse the hotel of all zombies, hastening his evolution to level 2, thereby significantly enhancing his self-defense capabilities, allowing him to venture to Xinghe City to seek out Xiao Waner. Grasping the machete, Li Xinghe noticed the blade was riddled with numerous small dents. After an afternoon of relentless hacking, it had borne considerable strain, and it would not be long before it was rendered utterly useless. System, how much energy is required to reinforce this machete? He hurriedly asked, for this weapon had proven invaluable, and without it, he would struggle to find another so suitable. To upgrade to a level 1 nanoalloy steel knife, 200 points of energy are required. How can it be so high? It requires 200 points of energy? Li Xinghe exclaimed incredulously. Host, the strength of the nanoalloy steel knife far exceeds that of your current machete, and it possesses exceptional self-repair capabilities. Alleviating your concerns regarding weapon durability, this indeed presented a long-term solution. However, he lamented the insufficiency of energy at present, resolving to accumulate more by the following day for the enhancement. Night had fallen, and the once bustling city now lay in profound silence, punctuated only by the occasional roars of zombies and the screams of those who had been discovered. The people hiding in the shadows of the city were destined for a sleepless night, with countless souls wishing this were merely a dream, hoping that with the dawn of a new day, normalcy would be restored. On the 4th floor of the Huanyu Hotel, Shu, you must not make a sound. That behemoth is right outside. A woman quietly admonished the little girl in her arms as they concealed themselves behind a cabinet in the back kitchen. At that moment, a colossal shadow loomed over them. The woman swiftly pushed the girl into the cabinet, only to be seized by a hand emerging from the darkness, an undead hand. In an instant, the woman had half of her skull bitten off. The little girl, hidden in the cabinet, covered her mouth, tears streaming down her cheeks. Terrified to make a sound. Chapter 8. The nanoalloy steel blade. The first rays of morning sunlight penetrated the room. By this time, Li Xinghe had finished his breakfast and, after inspecting his gear, resumed his task of clearing out the zombies. Upon reaching the 5th floor, he encountered the first survivor he had seen since the apocalypse. As he entered room 502, he suddenly noticed movement behind the door. Just as he was about to swing his blade, he realized it was a young woman in her early 20s, nearly mistaking her for a zombie. The young woman let out a piercing scream, frantically pleading, "Don't kill me. I'm not a monster." She backed away in a panic, but with the vast space behind the door, there was nowhere left to retreat. All right, enough with the shouting. If you keep it up, you'll truly attract the zombies, Li Xinghe replied, exasperated. Upon hearing this, the young woman ceased her cries, merely hiding behind the door, softly weeping. After a morning spent slaying zombies, Li Xinghe felt somewhat fatigued. Observing that the room was relatively clean, he decided to take a brief respite there. Additionally, his energy was sufficient to upgrade his machete, which had already suffered significant damage. Ignoring the young woman, Li Xinghe entered the bedroom and closed the door behind him. Seeing that he had no intention of speaking, the young woman sat on the sofa, lost in thought. Once inside the bedroom, Li Xinghe set down his backpack and picked up the machete. System, how much energy do I have? He inquired. 300 points, came the reply. That's enough. Upgrade the machete, he commanded. A brilliant blue light enveloped the blade, causing Li Xinghe to squint. After approximately 3 to 5 seconds, a brand new alloy steel knife replaced the old machete. Although he had utilized the system's enhancement capabilities, Li Xinghe still found it astonishing how the once tattered machete had undergone such a transformation in an instant. Its length remained the same, yet its appearance had completely changed, exuding an aura of sharpness. The blade was elongated, entirely black, reminiscent of a silent assassin, instilling a sense of danger. Holding the nanoalloy steel knife, he could distinctly feel it weighed more than twice that of the previous machete. The grip was satisfying. The enhancement of his physical strength had significantly increased, making the old machete feel as light as a plastic knife, which was quite uncomfortable. The weight of the nanoalloy steel knife was just right. With a gentle sweep towards the bedside table, the corner of the cabinet smoothly fell away, leaving a remarkably clean cut, sharp enough to satisfy Xinghe. He was thoroughly pleased with the alloy steel knife, while its self-repairing capability would only be validated over time. Recalling the young woman outside, Xinghe retrieved a piece of bread and a bottle of water from his backpack, opened the door, and observed her seated on the sofa. He placed the bread and water before her. "You haven't eaten in a while, have you? Please, go ahead. Who are you? How did you get here? What is going on with the monsters outside that devour people?" Upon seeing Xinghe emerge from the room, the woman finally found the opportunity to voice her concerns. Xinghe surveyed the young woman before him. Her appearance was innocent, and she was not unpleasant to behold. The remnants of tears on her face rendered her pitifully vulnerable. However, he had no inclination to indulge in pity. "I am Xinghe, a guest from the 10th floor. How did I arrive here? I fought my way down. As for the zombies outside, I regret to inform you that I am equally in the dark. What is it like outside now? I saw zombies everywhere through the window. I tried calling the emergency services, but the line was perpetually busy." The woman pressed on with her inquiries. "I suppose now the entire country has become a paradise for zombies. Order has long since disintegrated. Expecting government rescue is a mere fantasy. They are likely preoccupied with their own survival." At this revelation, the woman's hopes were utterly shattered, leaving her in a state of stunned silence. "By the way, what is your name?" After conversing for some time, Xinghe realized he did not know her name. "I am Wang Yan, a server at the Huanyu Hotel. I arrived yesterday afternoon to commence my shift, only to find my colleagues transformed into those monstrous creatures. I took refuge in this room. I attempted to call for help, but there was no response. I hadn't ventured out since hearing the monstrous growls echoing in the corridor until your arrival." Xinghe nodded, considering her fortunate. Most individuals had succumbed to the zombies before they could react, either becoming one of them or serving as their meal. After all, no one could fathom that those around them would suddenly metamorphose into zombies. "Please, eat something. I will take a rest now." With that, Xinghe disregarded Wang Yan and returned to the bedroom. After a night of hunger, Wang Yan devoured the bread in a few bites, followed by nearly half a bottle of water, which alleviated her hunger pangs. Back in the bedroom, Xinghe reclined on the bed to rest, having fortified the knife. His energy reserves were now depleted, leaving him back at square one. Nevertheless, the issue of weaponry was conclusively resolved. Now on the 5th floor, he was uncertain whether the energy from the remaining zombies on the 4th floor would suffice to elevate him to a level 2 evolved entity. After contemplating for a moment, Xinghe snapped back to reality. "Forget it. I shall proceed with the hunt and assess the situation. Eventually, I must venture outside." At this moment, in the surveillance room on the 2nd floor of the Huanyu Hotel, 2 security guards, one stout and one slender, were vigilantly monitoring the screens. "Brother, that fierce fellow has been in room 502 for quite some time. What should we do?" "He hasn't perished, has he?" the slender guard inquired. Smack! The stout guard playfully struck the slender one's head. "What nonsensical talk! That formidable man descended from the 10th floor armed with a knife and slaughtered his way down to the 5th. Could an ordinary monster possibly contend with him? If we wish to survive, we must simply await his arrival on the 2nd floor. Ah, indeed. Our fate rests upon him now. With so many man-eating monsters lurking outside, we cannot possibly escape. If that brother fails to reach the 2nd floor tonight, even if we are not devoured by the monsters, we will surely starve to death." The slender guard lamented, clutching his emaciated stomach. "Exactly. When that fierce fellow descends, we must cling to his leg. We must quickly procure some food. I am absolutely famished. And there is nothing to eat in this wretched place," the stout guard concurred, nodding vigorously. The two continued to monitor the screens, anxious not to miss the opportunity to latch onto the formidable man should he arrive at the 2nd floor. After resting for half an hour, Xinghe emerged from his room once more. Wang Yan was still seated on the sofa. Upon seeing Xinghe, she hurried over. "Can you take me away from here? I implore you." Xinghe was momentarily taken aback, but soon comprehended her plight. Wang Yan had been fortunate to survive and, having encountered another living soul, was undoubtedly reluctant to remain alone in this dire situation. "Very well, I will clear the zombies ahead, and you gather any useful items, such as food, water, flashlights, and power banks," Xinghe instructed her. "Of course." Wang Yan eagerly nodded, a glimmer of hope illuminating her face. Following Xinghe was certainly preferable to facing the zombies alone. How could a frail woman contend with them on her own? He removed a cabinet door and fashioned a simple shield for Wang Yan as protection. Then, they stepped out of the room, with Wang Yan trailing closely behind Xinghe, trembling as she held the makeshift shield aloft. Let us proceed to the 4th floor. Chapter 9. The Strength-type zombie upon reaching the fire escape on the 4th floor. Xinghe gestured for Wang Yan to crouch down while he peered through the window of the safety door to assess the corridor's condition. The hallway was drenched in congealed blood, littered with dismembered limbs, resembling a scene from a hellish nightmare. Even Xinghe felt a tightening in his chest. It seemed unlikely that any living souls remained. He beckoned Wang Yan over, pushed open the safety door, and cautiously stepped into the corridor. Initially, Wang Yan did not grasp the gruesome scene before her, but as she entered the corridor, it felt as though she had stepped into a slaughterhouse. The ground was slick with thick, foul blood, scattered with dismembered corpses, and the stench assailed her nostrils, causing her to retch. She then grasped Xinghe's backpack tightly, her legs quaking, yet she dared not utter a sound. Xinghe turned to observe Wang Yan's performance, feeling rather satisfied. Had Wang Yan been prone to panic or attempted to flee, he would have had to reconsider whether to continue accompanying her. After methodically inspecting several rooms and dispatching the zombies within, Wang Yan hurriedly began to gather supplies. She discovered several bags of chips and spicy strips, along with a backpack and a few bottles of water. Once she had stowed the items in the backpack, the two resumed their search. Xinghe noted that this floor seemed to be a resting area for hotel staff, with what appeared to be a kitchen at the end of the corridor. As he approached the kitchen door, he suddenly realized something he had overlooked: the absence of zombies. Indeed, in such a gruesome setting, it was peculiar that they had encountered so few zombies, with the only ones they had seen confined to the rooms. Such anomalies surely hinted at something amiss. Tightening his grip on the nanoalloy steel knife, Xinghe cautiously approached the kitchen, its door wide open, emanating a strong smell of blood. Upon entering, he found no zombies. The scene on the floor mirrored that of the corridor, suggesting that many had once been present, only to fall victim to the undead. The kitchen was eerily silent, devoid of any sound. After a thorough search yielded nothing of value, he noted that the food had been tainted. As for flour and the like, given the current circumstances, cooking was out of the question, though he could certainly return for it later. Just as they were about to leave, Xinghe suddenly heard a faint noise emanating from a nearby cupboard. Although subtle, his enhanced senses, thanks to his physical augmentations, picked it up. He raised the alloy knife with one hand while slowly opening the cupboard door with the other. Upon seeing the contents within, Xinghe exhaled in relief and lowered his arm. At that moment, Wang Yan approached, equally astonished to find a small girl hidden inside the cupboard. To their surprise, there was indeed a survivor. Given the horrific scene outside, she had assumed no one else remained alive. The little girl crouched within the cupboard, paralyzed by fear. Wang Yan, please coax her out and inquire about her situation, Xinghe instructed before stepping aside. Upon seeing the two living individuals, the girl burst into tears, crying out for her mother, lamenting that she had been devoured by monsters. Come out, child, you are safe now, Xinghe reassured her. After coaxing the girl out, he led her to a cleaner room. Once Wang Yan had comforted her for a while, Xinghe offered her some bread and water. As the girl's emotions began to stabilize, her eyes widened at the sight of food, and she swallowed hard, glancing at Wang Yan. Receiving a nod of encouragement, she eagerly accepted the provisions and began to devour them. Take your time, be careful not to choke, and have a sip of water, Wang Yan gently advised from the side. After the little girl finished eating, Xinghe inquired, what is your name? I am called Xiaoya, she replied. How did you end up hiding in the cabinet? Xinghe continued to ask. My mother and I were fleeing from a group of monsters, and in our haste, we found ourselves in the kitchen. Then, a massive creature chased us in and devoured everyone else. My mother hid me behind the cabinet, but to our dismay, that monster still discovered us. In the end, my mother was also consumed by the zombie. She pushed me into the cabinet, the girl recounted, tears welling in her eyes. Wang Yan, standing nearby, comforted Xiaoya, while Xinghe fell into deep contemplation. A creature of considerable size. Perhaps this relates to the absence of zombies on the 4th floor. Wang Yan, you and Xiaoya stay here. I will check the 3rd floor, he instructed. Wang Yan gasped but, glancing at the little girl in her arms, could only nod in agreement. Xinghe ascended to the 3rd floor alone. Discovering that the hallway remained devoid of zombies, he began inspecting room by room. The doors had been violently shattered, yet the interiors revealed nothing but pools of blood. As he reached the end of the corridor, he made a significant discovery. It was yet another kitchen, but it was filled with the sounds of a zombie feasting. Peering inside, he beheld a gigantic zombie, approximately 2.5 meters tall and exceedingly corpulent, gnawing on the corpse of a man. This creature was so immense that it nearly grazed the light fixture above. Ding. New species detected. Strength type zombie. Attributes 18101. Goodness. Upon hearing the system's introduction, Xinghe could only express his astonishment. The creature's strength was an astonishing 18 points. No wonder it was labeled a strength type zombie, towering over him by 3 points. However, its speed was significantly inferior to his own. System, how much energy can be obtained by slaying this creature? Xinghe inquired. Host. The energy from a mutated zombie is 10 times that of an ordinary zombie. Defeating this strength type zombie will yield 100 points of energy. and its crystal core can be converted into an additional 100 points, totaling 200 points of energy. Well then, what are we waiting for? Charge! Li Xinghe exclaimed. All the energy he had painstakingly accumulated from slaying zombies throughout the morning was now destined to enhance his Meow knife. Yet this strength-type zombie was worth 200 points. Instantly, the zombie transformed into a prime target in Li Xinghe's eyes. However, he was not reckless. He first surveyed the terrain. The kitchen was spacious, with a stove on one side and a sink on the other, flanked by a row of refrigerators. The strength-type zombie stood between the refrigerators and the sink. Li Xinghe noticed a thermal container on the stove, seemingly filled with a large quantity of hot pot base oil. As he stepped into the kitchen, the feasting strength-type zombie turned its head, its crimson eyes widening, and it let out a roar as it charged towards Li Xinghe. The very ground of the kitchen trembled beneath the creature's advance. As the hulking figure charged toward him, Li Xinghe swiftly turned and dashed toward the stove. In passing the thermos, he swiftly slashed it open, causing the crimson oil within to splatter everywhere. He then retreated a few paces and turned to face the brute. Unperturbed by the chaos, the giant lunged forward, slipping on the slick red oil and tumbling headfirst, sliding right to Li Xinghe's feet. Seizing the moment, Li Xinghe leapt onto its back, poised to deliver a fatal blow and claim the 200 points of energy. However, the giant proved to be unexpectedly agile, flipping over and tossing Li Xinghe aside. Ah! Li Xinghe involuntarily cried out as his back collided with the edge of the stove. The jolt of pain made him gasp for breath, and as the giant began to rise, he could not afford to hesitate. Gritting his teeth against the agony, he sprang to his feet and delivered a swift kick, sending the still-recovering giant crashing back into the pool of red oil. The hulking figure flailed helplessly, unable to regain its footing. Finally, with a sigh of relief, Li Xinghe rubbed his aching back, retrieved his alloy knife, and leaped onto a nearby freezer. With a determined thrust, he plunged the knife into the zombie's skull, silencing it for good. Extracting the crystal core, he pocketed the 200 points of energy. This adversary had proven quite formidable. Its sheer strength was overwhelming, and even that one encounter had been taxing. Having dealt with the powerful zombie, Li Xinghe returned to the 4th floor of the hotel. You finally returned. I thought you might not come back, Wang Yin exclaimed, visibly relieved. She had been genuinely worried that Li Xinghe would abandon her and the little girl. If that were to happen, she was uncertain how they would survive. I encountered a mutated zombie on the 3rd floor, but I've taken care of it. You and Xiaoya gather your things. We need to head to the 3rd floor and collect any usable supplies. Our goal today is to clear out the entire hotel, Li Xinghe instructed. All right, I'll be quick, Wang Yin replied. In truth, there was little to gather. Wang Yin had only a single backpack, and the little girl, Xiaoya, had nothing at all. The two followed Li Xinghe to the 3rd floor. They scoured each room for supplies, collecting biscuits, instant noodles, ham, snacks, and a few bottles of beverages, enough to sustain the 3 of them for 2 days. Wang Yan's backpack was now filled to capacity, and Xiaoya donned a small backpack. Sharing the burden, let us proceed to the 2nd floor. Wang Yan, keep a close eye on Xiaoya, Li Xinghe said. Yes, no problem. Xiaoya, stay close to me, Wang Yin instructed, looking at the little girl. Okay, big sister, Xiaoya responded cheerfully. The trio made their way to the safety corridor on the 2nd floor, where they finally encountered a more normal situation. The stairwell was teeming with zombies. The further they descended, the more numerous the undead became. A multitude of zombies appeared, and upon sealing the safety door, the glass shattered, instantly capturing the attention of the ravenous horde, which surged towards the entrance with frenzied determination. As the undead pressed against the door, Li Xinghe swiftly dispatched them one by one, each strike sending a zombie crumpling to the ground. The little girl, hidden behind Wang Yin, gasped in astonishment, while Wang Yin, having witnessed the young man's prowess before, remained unfazed. Amidst their idle thoughts, Li Xinghe efficiently eliminated the remaining zombies, ignoring the 2 behind him. He hurriedly extracted the crystal cores from the fallen creatures. Although Wang Yin was puzzled by his peculiar actions, she suppressed her curiosity and refrained from questioning him. One by one, Li Xinghe retrieved transparent crystals from the zombies' skulls, meticulously cleaning them with his clothing before stowing them away, though they appeared to vanish into his pocket. In truth, he had converted them entirely into energy, deliberately taking this extra step to conceal the capabilities of his system. Navigating past the heap of corpses, the trio ascended to the 2nd floor corridor, methodically inspecting each room. Li Xinghe led the way, neutralizing zombies, while Wang Yin and Xiaoya diligently gathered supplies. Meanwhile, outside, a thin man called out to a heavy-set companion, trying to rouse him. Hey, brother, wake up. That formidable warrior has brought a woman and a child to the 2nd floor. What? The heavy-set man blinked in confusion. That fierce warrior has cleared the corridor of those man-eating monsters. He's now accompanied by a woman and child, sorting through the rooms. Really? The heavy-set man, filled with excitement, exclaimed, "Let us go. We must join him." He beckoned to the thin man, and together they hastened outside, returning to Xinghe and his companions. After vanquishing several more zombies, they arrived at the final room's entrance. Noticing a sign indicating it was the monitoring room, Xinghe prepared to breach the door. To his surprise, it swung open from the inside, revealing two humans, prompting him to lower his raised metallic blade. The two individuals, clad in security uniforms, were evidently the hotel guards responsible for monitoring the premises. One was stout, the other slender, presenting an amusing contrast. The guards, equally startled, had not anticipated the warrior would be at their threshold. The stout one grinned and addressed Xinghe. "Hero, this monitoring room is just the two of us. We noticed you dispatching those creatures last night and have eagerly awaited your arrival." Upon hearing this, Xinghe realized that his every move had been observed. He pondered whether the system's abilities had been detected. However, reflecting on the circumstances, he recalled that both of his enhancements had taken place within rooms and fire escapes, and he had only absorbed a few crystal cores in the corridor, surely not enough for them to uncover any secrets. Indeed, as Xinghe had surmised, the two individuals did not remain vigilantly stationed before the surveillance monitors. Rather, they merely glanced at the screens intermittently. During the moment Xinghe absorbed the crystal core, they were entirely oblivious to his actions. Furthermore, the crystal core was transparent, rendering it virtually invisible on the monitors. Consequently, the duo merely assumed that Xinghe's personal prowess had reached extraordinary heights, prompting them to seek his favor. With this realization, Xinghe felt a sense of relief and proceeded to prepare some inquiries for them. "Good fellows, could you possibly provide us with some sustenance? We have not eaten anything for an entire day and are ravenously hungry," the thin man remarked. "Very well, it is getting late. Let us dine while we converse." Xinghe replied. "Everyone, please enter the monitoring room." Upon entering the surveillance chamber, Xinghe discovered that an entire wall directly opposite the entrance was adorned with screens displaying real-time footage from throughout the hotel, allowing immediate visibility of the locations of the zombies. In one corner stood a solitary bed, presumably for the night shift personnel to rest, while the center of the room featured a row of tables. The group gathered around the table, and Xinghe gestured for Wang Yin to produce the food. After distributing portions to each person, they began to eat. The chubby and thin men displayed the most unrefined manners while eating, but this could be understood. Had anyone else gone an entire day without food, their table manners would likely not be much better. Once everyone had satisfied their hunger, Xinghe turned to the chubby man and inquired, "Where's the hotel storage room?" It was imperative to locate the storage area, as hotels typically stockpile substantial amounts of food, water, and various supplies. With two additional individuals now present, their provisions would scarcely last 2 days. "It's on the basement level," the chubby man replied after taking a sip of water. "Are you contemplating a plan for the storage room? Just yesterday morning, I observed a delivery truck unloading supplies there. It must be brimming with resources now," the thin man interjected eagerly while eating. "Basement level, you say?" Xinghe pondered, observing the first-floor monitor. He noted that there were quite a number of zombies in the lobby, at least 20 or so. The situation in the basement remained uncertain, and the surveillance did not provide a comprehensive view. Let us not dwell on it for now. We shall first address the zombies in the lobby tomorrow before making any decisions. Chapter 11. Abundance of supplies having filled their bellies, the group prepared to retire early. The chubby and thin men sought a room together for companionship, while Wang Yin and Xiaoyu shared a room with Xinghe. After a refreshing hot shower, Xinghe stood by the window, gazing out at the street below. Only a few streetlights continued to dutifully shine, and in some parts of the city, faint glimmers of light persisted. These lights represented the remnants of human civilization. Though sparse and feeble, they still existed. A night of silence passed. On the following morning, after a night of rest, the group convened in the surveillance room. They were all acutely aware that their food supplies were dwindling. The only way to acquire substantial resources now was to venture into the underground storage. "I am under no obligation to provide you with sustenance, if you desire supplies. It is solely dependent on your own performance," Xinghe proclaimed while seated. Upon hearing this, the stout man was the first to rise. "Fear not, good sir. Whatever tasks you assign us, we shall undertake, as long as there is food to eat. I certainly do not wish to become a ghost of starvation." Indeed. Please, give us our orders. The two of us will not question your commands," the slender man chimed in. Both having been thoroughly impressed by Xinghe's prowess and now eager to ingratiate themselves. "Enough of this good sir nonsense. What era are we in? I am Xinghe. Simply address me by my name," he responded, feeling somewhat exasperated. "But how can we? You have saved our lives, and we cannot be so impolite. Let us call you boss instead," the stout man insisted. "Exactly. We are now a small group, and a leader is essential. With your exceptional abilities, the position of boss rightfully belongs to you. The slender man added. Very well, do as you wish. Xinghe was indifferent. He had little interest in such titles. In this apocalyptic world, his sole focus was on growing stronger and rescuing Xiao Wan'er, without concern for anything else. Turning to Wang Yin and Xiaoya, he found they had no objections either. All right, since there are no disagreements, let us prepare to depart. After speaking, he instructed the stout and slender men to find a piece of door panel, which they fashioned into a shield, approximately 1.5 meters tall, using an alloy steel knife for modifications. The stout man held the shield, while the slender man rummaged in the kitchen for a 40-centimeter boning knife, barely adequate for self-defense. Wang Yin continued to wield the small shield made from a wardrobe door. Once preparations were complete, the group descended to the first floor. Xinghe led the way, the stout man behind him brandishing the shield, and the slender man, armed with the boning knife, closely followed. Wang Yin and Xiaoya brought up the rear. Upon reaching the corner of the hallway, Xinghe signaled for everyone to halt. In the lobby, approximately 20 zombies were wandering about, and he noted that the main entrance was ajar. There were even more zombies outside. He could manage to deal with the 20 or so within, but if the horde outside were to be drawn in, the chaos would be unimaginable. However, with the stout and slender men now involved, a new plan took shape. He turned to them and whispered, "Here's the plan. Once I charge out to draw the zombies in the lobby, you two need to find an opportunity to shut the door. If any zombies head your way, retreat to the safe passage and attack them through the glass there, understood? Rest assured, boss. We have already seen your demonstration on the monitors. We've got this," the stout man replied. Wang Yin and Xiaoya remained in the hallway to provide support. Xinghe added, "All right." With everyone ready, he charged out. He dashed towards the far end of the hall, effortlessly dispatching any zombies that obstructed his path with a swift stroke. The zombies within the hall, upon spotting this sudden intruder, surged forward like cats drawn to fish, their claws bared and teeth gnashing as they pursued Xinghe. Meanwhile, the portly figure hiding in the corridor, witnessing the zombies being lured away, shouted, "Let us go," and charged towards the entrance with his shield. Midway, he realized the lean man had remained rooted in place, prompting an irate outburst. "Hurry up. What on earth are you doing?" "Big brother, my legs feel a bit weak," the lean man replied with a distressed expression. "Useless," the portly man retorted, then turned to see the zombies outside the hall also drawn by the commotion, rushing towards the entrance. Time was of the essence. If they did not close the door soon, the horde would invade. The portly man, with no time to concern himself with the lean man's predicament, discarded his shield and rushed to the door, managing to secure it against the encroaching zombies. The relentless undead battered against the door, causing it to tremble violently. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the portly man called out to the others in the corridor, "Come help. This door won't hold much longer." Hearing his voice, the three individuals in the corridor felt a tightening in their chests. Wang Yin was the first to respond, sprinting forward, followed closely by the young girl, Xiaoya. Upon seeing even the little girl rushing to assist, the lean man felt a wave of shame wash over him, overcoming his fear and joining the fray. "What do we do now?" Wang Yin asked anxiously. "Quick, move that counter over here, stack some heavy objects at the door," the portly man instructed, rallying everyone to push the counter to the entrance. They then scoured the vicinity for any heavy furniture to bolster their defenses, piling everything at the door. The once trembling entrance now stood sturdier, though it still quivered, appearing to hold for the time being. "Well, look who is not trembling now." The portly man, panting heavily, sat on the ground and inquired. "Not trembling anymore, big brother," the lean man replied sheepishly, retrieving a pack of cigarettes from his pocket and lighting one for both himself and the portly man. Meanwhile, Xinghe led the horde of zombies towards the rear of the hotel, discovering a path that led to the waste disposal area, lined with large dumpsters. He toppled the dumpsters, creating a blockade that hindered the zombies, several of which stumbled and fell. Seizing this opportunity, he systematically dealt with the oncoming zombies. Without these obstacles, it would have been considerably more challenging to handle the undead. He wondered about the fate of his companions inside. After extracting the crystal cores from the defeated zombies, he hurried back along the same route. "Boss, you're back. What about the zombies? Did you take care of them all?" The lean man exclaimed with delight upon seeing Xinghe return safely. "Indeed, they have all been dealt with," Xinghe affirmed. "Boss, what shall we do next? Should we head to the underground warehouse?" the portly man inquired, puffing on a cigarette. Observing that everyone was unharmed, Xinghe promptly led the group to the underground storage. Descending through the passage adjacent to the bar, they were greeted by a mountain of supplies in the warehouse, eliciting smiles from all. The slender man, overwhelmed with excitement, exclaimed, "We can eat as much as we desire. We need not worry about food any longer." Xinghe felt a sense of relief as he surveyed the provisions. Upon entering the warehouse, he discovered that a significant portion consisted of everyday necessities, with only a third being food and water. However, it was more than sufficient for the group to sustain themselves for half a year. After thoroughly inspecting the warehouse twice to ensure no zombies lingered, Xinghe beckoned everyone to move some supplies to the second floor. A horde of zombies still loitered outside the main entrance, and the danger had yet to be resolved. Thus, they had no choice but to settle on the second floor for the time being. The atmosphere was filled with cheerful spirits as they began relocating the supplies. Yet, in a shadowy corner, a pair of luminous eyes observed their every move. Chapter 12. The Reinforcement Experiment. After a while of transporting food, the portly man stumbled upon an electric cooker and hot pot ingredients in the warehouse, leading everyone to unanimously decide to enjoy a hot pot for lunch. 2 days had passed since the apocalypse began, and the previous days had been filled with hunger and an unremarkable diet of snacks and bread, making everyone long for warm, hearty meals. In the monitoring room on the second floor, the enticing aroma of hot pot base filled the air as Wang Yin and the others piled the table high with ingredients and vegetables, gathering around to feast. The slender man even procured some red wine from the warehouse, pouring each person a generous glass, while Xiaoya opted for a soft drink. As they watched the food bubbling in the pot, several of them found themselves salivating. It seemed that they were the only ones able to enjoy hot pot in this post-apocalyptic world. "Boss, come quickly. The food is ready." The slender man called out to Xinghe, who was reclining on a single bed, lost in thought. Xinghe, having been contemplating various matters, rose and approached the table. He had been reflecting on the capabilities of the apocalypse system, which could enhance all things, having only strengthened his body and the seedling blade thus far. He wondered what transformations other items might undergo. He resolved to conduct an experiment after their meal. "Cheers, boss. We toast to you." The portly man pulled the slender man to raise their glasses towards Xinghe. "Without you, boss, we would likely still be hiding in this monitoring room, on the brink of starvation. You saved our lives, allowing us to sit here, enjoying red wine and hot pot. Indeed, from now on, we shall follow you." The slender man echoed in agreement. "Hold your horses. I must tell you that I won't be staying in this realm for long. In a few days, I will likely have to depart." "What? Why, boss? Here we have food and drink in abundance, and it is quite safe. If we clear out the zombies outside, we could live here for a long time." The portly man inquired anxiously. "I need to go to Xinghe City. My childhood friend is there." "Is she your sister-in-law?" the slender man asked. "Sort of," Xinghe replied with a smile. Upon hearing this, Wang Yin, who sat nearby, felt a pang of realization. So that was it. The portly man then understood that Xinghe intended to rescue his beloved, which only deepened his admiration for Xinghe. Xinghe City lies over 300 kilometers away from Lanzhou City. In the pre-apocalypse era, it would have merely taken a high-speed train about an hour to reach. However, in this post-apocalyptic world, transportation had completely collapsed. It was no simple feat to traverse even a single block, let alone travel to another city. "Boss, how do you plan to get there? Xinghe City is so far away, and the streets are crawling with zombies." The slender man echoed the group's curiosity. "I have a preliminary idea, but it requires further experimentation," Xinghe responded, leaving everyone puzzled, unsure of his meaning. They finished their hot pot meal with varied thoughts racing through their minds. Xinghe instructed the portly man to keep one person on watch for zombies on the first floor while the others should rest. He himself sought a new room, preparing to test the system's ability to enhance objects. It sounded impressive, didn't it? First, he inquired about the energy he had accumulated. "System, how much energy do I currently possess?" "Host, you have gathered a total of 870 points of energy." "Oh, unbeknownst to me, I've amassed 870 points already?" Upon reflection, he realized he had indeed dispatched quite a number of zombies over the past couple of days, not to mention the 200 points contributed by that powerful zombie, making it quite reasonable. Not forgetting his purpose, Xinghe retrieved a lighter from his bag. "System, how much energy is required to enhance this lighter?" "It requires 2 points of energy." "So little? Enhance it." As Xinghe's words fell, a blue light enveloped the lighter, dissipating in the blink of an eye to reveal a delicate lighter resting in his hand. Upon checking its attributes, a description of this new lighter appeared in Xinghe's mind. "Rechargeable lighter, can be used for a year on a single charge." Such a simple description filled Xinghe with joy. Indeed, the enhancement had vastly improved its functionality compared to the previous lighter. He then thought to ask, "System, how much energy is needed for further enhancement?" "It requires 20 points of energy, host." "Good, that is acceptable. Continue enhancing." Once again, a blue light enveloped the lighter, this time lasting slightly longer than before. As the light faded, a technologically advanced lighter emerged before Xinghe. Goodness, was this still a lighter? Had he not witnessed its transformation, he would scarcely have recognized it as such. Upon examining the attributes, It became evident that the high-tech lighter could function in any extreme environment and was capable of solar charging. Indeed, technological advancements have reached new heights. Such a lighter, even before the apocalypse, would have undoubtedly stirred quite a commotion. Inquiring about the energy required for further upgrades, the system responded with a demand for 200 energy points. Well, it seems excessive to expend such energy on merely a lighter. Then, a thought struck Xinghe. Ordinary items, once enhanced, could elevate technological standards and amplify their functions. What transformations might occur with food? Thus, he retrieved a bottle of water and asked the system, how much energy is required to enhance this bottle of water? The system replied, 3 energy points, host. Enhance it. A flash of blue light ensued, and the previous bottle of mineral water vanished, replaced by a smaller container. Approximately 100 milliliters in size. Utilizing the attribute examination feature, Xinghe discovered stamina recovery potion, effective in restoring stamina. The extent of recovery depends on the consumer's physique. Stronger physiques yield lesser recovery. What a remarkable find. This potion could restore stamina, enabling prolonged combat and resilience. System. How much stamina can I recover using this potion? The host physique can restore approximately 30%. Thus, 3 bottles would suffice for a full recovery. And this was merely the effect of a single enhancement. Xinghe's curiosity deepened regarding the potential changes with further enhancements. Upon querying the system, he learned that the next enhancement would require 30 energy points. Without hesitation, he proceeded with the upgrade. This time, the potion transformed into a size suitable for oral consumption. Upon checking the attributes, Xinghe was taken aback. Attribute Enhancement Potion temporarily boosts the drinker's attributes by 20%. The stronger the drinker, the shorter the duration. Incredible. This concoction could provide a significant short-term boost in attributes, an invaluable tool for counterattacks. Envision 2 individuals of similar strength, with one consuming this potion. The outcome would be predictable. Such a valuable item should be prepared in several bottles, alongside the stamina recovery potions, which were equally essential. After this research, Xinghe gained clarity on his future direction. First, physical enhancements were indispensable. Next, he could not neglect weaponry. Finally, he set his sights on enhancing his SUV. Chapter 13. Level 2 Evolution. Xinghe retrieved 6 bottles of mineral water from the monitoring room, transforming all into stamina recovery potions, and subsequently enhanced 3 of them into attribute enhancement potions. System. How much energy remains? After completing these tasks, Xinghe inquired. A total of 707 energy points. With 707 points of energy, a further 1,000 points is required to evolve to level 2, leaving a deficit of 293 points. Outside the lobby on the first floor, a horde of zombies remains. If we can eliminate all of them, it will surely suffice for my enhancement to a level 2 evolution. Contemplating this, Xinghe made his way to the monitoring room and instructed Fatty to summon everyone. Our objective this afternoon is to eradicate the zombies lingering outside the lobby. It is impractical to allow them to roam freely at our doorstep, Xinghe addressed the group. Indeed, boss, those zombies have been stationed outside. We cannot afford to keep sending people to guard the entrance, Fatty chimed in, with Xinghe nodding in agreement. Wang Yin had no objections, while Xiaoya followed their lead without hesitation. All right, Fatty, take Xinghe and clear the clutter at the entrance, leaving only the bar counter in place. Understood, boss, Fatty replied. Leading Xinghe downstairs, Wang Yin and Xiaoya remained in the monitoring room, ready to alert Xinghe of any unusual movements. Once he saw Wang Yin nod, Xinghe armed himself with a nanoalloy steel knife and proceeded outside. Upon reaching the lobby, Xinghe found that Fatty and Xinghe had nearly cleared the area. He assisted them in removing the heavier items, leaving only the bar counter positioned across the entrance. Xinghe then opened the door, prompting the zombies outside to surge forward. However, the bar counter obstructed their advance, leaving them clawing helplessly at the air. Without hesitation, Xinghe advanced and dispatched the first zombie with a swift strike. Immediately, more zombies rushed in, 2 or 3 at a time, while others continued to pour in. Fatty and Xinghe, having procured 2 steel pipes over a meter in length from somewhere, aligned themselves with Xinghe. As the zombies approached, they swung their pipes, effectively managing the chaos. After eliminating a dozen zombies, Xinghe finally amassed enough energy for the level 2 enhancement. Had it not been for Fatty and Xinghe's assistance, he would have begun his transformation much sooner. Once the last few zombies were dealt with, Fatty rubbed his sore wrist and exclaimed, finally, we've dealt with this wretched lot. Their incessant moaning was maddening. Pushing aside the bar counter, Xinghe moved forward to collect the zombie cores, with Fatty and Xinghe following suit. Upon witnessing Xinghe rummaging through a zombie's skull, they both felt nauseated and promptly retched on the steps, until they had expelled all the bile from their stomachs. Big brother, what are you searching for inside the zombie's brain? Xinghe asked, his face contorted in discomfort. Energy cores. Xinghe replied, extracting a transparent core from within the zombie's head. Is this the energy core? What purpose does it serve? Fatty and Skinny inquired, their faces filled with curiosity. The energy core is the source of a zombie's power. It is through this entity that they derive the energy to move. As for its uses, upon reaching this point, Xinghe paused momentarily. To be frank, aside from the system's capacity to convert the crystal nucleus into energy, he was truly at a loss regarding its other potential uses. System, aside from transforming energy, what other purposes does this crystal nucleus serve? Host. The crystal nucleus can also directly absorb and enhance the body, albeit with an efficiency that is no greater than 50%, the system replied. 50%? That's a significant reduction, Xinghe exclaimed. So, does this mean that an ordinary person can also become enhanced? Indeed. Due to the changes in the atmospheric environment of Blue Star, the surviving humans have experienced a subtle enhancement in their physical constitution. However, this enhancement is limited. Only by absorbing the energy from crystal nuclei or other energy sources can humans continually fortify their physiques. At this moment, Xinghe comprehended fully. Perhaps this was the evolutionary path that the apocalypse had bestowed upon humanity. He then turned to the two companions and continued, as for its utility. Absorbing the energy within can lead to becoming an enhanced individual. Enhanced? Could it be that you are one such individual? The plump one exclaimed in realization. No wonder Xinghe is so formidable. It turns out to be due to this crystal nucleus. Indeed, Xinghe affirmed with a nod. He deemed it prudent to share this information with them, considering they had fought alongside him, and he found them reliable over the past few days. Moreover, since ordinary individuals could only absorb 50% of the energy, he felt no trepidation about others surpassing him in strength. Besides, with the apocalypse system at his disposal, capable of enhancing all things, he had even less reason to fear the dissemination of this information. The duo, brimming with excitement, began to gesture animatedly. Boss, so we too can become enhanced individuals? Theoretically, yes, he replied. Come, let us assist in the search for crystal nuclei. The two eagerly rushed to help Xinghe in locating the crystal nuclei. In a short span, the trio successfully collected all the crystal nuclei from the zombies, totaling 25. The plump and slender brothers found 10 between them, while Xinghe uncovered 15. Boss, here, the plump one offered, presenting the nuclei he and his companion had gathered. Xinghe regarded them thoughtfully for a moment. You may keep these 10 nuclei. What? Boss, we hardly contributed much. It feels undeserved, the plump one said, initially elated. Then contemplatively, they had not exerted themselves greatly, as Xinghe had dispatched most of the zombies single-handedly, while they had barely slain a few. Take them, with zombies rampant. Any enhancement in strength will bolster your self-preservation, Xinghe insisted. Hesitant at first, the plump one was nudged by the slender one. Brother, the boss is right. Given how perilous it is outside, if we enhance our strength, we can also assist the boss. Very well, boss. We shall accept. The slender one then inquired. But how do we absorb this crystal nucleus? Xinghe was uncertain and quickly posed the question to the system, whose response left him momentarily stunned. The two exchanged a meaningful smile, leaving them feeling a chill down their spines. What did the leader mean? It felt somewhat ominous. The subsequent response from Xinghe turned their faces pale. Just swallow it. What? You want us to swallow it whole? The thin one exclaimed, while the fat one was equally distressed. Indeed, whether you swallow it or not is up to you. In a moment, drag all these zombies outside and set them ablaze. With that, Xinghe returned to his room, leaving the thin and fat ones staring at each other in silence. Once back in his room and ensuring the door was securely closed, Xinghe hurriedly converted all the crystal cores into energy. System, begin body enhancement. Understood, host. Commencing enhancement. A familiar blue light enveloped Xinghe's body, followed by a warm current surging from his dantian to his limbs. When the blue light faded, a layer of black impurities surfaced on his skin, emanating a foul odor. What is this? Xinghe quickly inquired. Host, these are the impurities in your body. The powerful energy has expelled all the impurities, optimizing your physical condition. Listening to the system's explanation, Xinghe rushed to the bathroom for a shower. Upon returning to his bedroom, he opened a window to let in some air, then sat on the balcony chair and activated the attribute inspection feature. Chapter 14. The formation of the team. His current attributes stood at 202,021. Compared to when he was a level 1 evolved being, each attribute had increased by 5 points. Xinghe felt a surge of even greater power within him. Grasping the balcony railing, he gently squeezed, leaving an imprint. With a bit more force, he completely crushed the railing into a twisted mass. Although the railing was not solid, the display of strength exhilarated Xinghe. He realized that his current power likely surpassed what humanity could achieve before the apocalypse. recalling the strength-based zombies he had previously defeated. He felt confident that he could take one down with a single strike if they crossed paths again. With his current speed, ordinary zombies would be unable to approach him before he exhausted his stamina. It was time to leave this place. However, he first needed to retrieve his SUV, which he had parked in the lot outside the Huanyu when he arrived. Now that the zombies at the entrance of the Huanyu had been cleared, he just needed to eliminate the remaining zombies in the parking lot to drive his SUV back. Meanwhile, back with the fat one, after Xinghe left, the two exchanged glances, remaining silent. After a long pause, the fat one finally spoke. "Let us eat. Since the boss has said so, it must be fine." With that, he picked up a crystal core and swallowed it whole. As it came into contact with his saliva, it quickly transformed into a liquid that he gulped down. Upon witnessing the portly companion's swift decision, the slender figure, despite a surge of nausea, swallowed a crystal core, allowing the viscous substance to flow down into his stomach. Moments later, both individuals felt a warm current emanate from their dantian, followed by an overwhelming sensation of refreshment that alleviated their earlier fatigue from battling the zombies. The portly man's eyes sparkled with intrigue as he exchanged a glance with his lean counterpart, both reflecting mutual astonishment. Subsequently, they both ingested the remaining 4 crystal cores, and a more potent warmth surged from their dantian than before. They both distinctly sensed their bodies becoming lighter, filled with newfound vigor. Dragging the corpses of the zombies outside the hall, the lean man remarked, "Indeed, our leader was correct. These crystal cores truly enhance our physical capabilities. I can feel a significant increase in my strength. Moving these corpses is hardly exhausting." The portly man echoed his sentiments. "It appears we shall need to accompany our leader in vanquishing more zombies henceforth." Both men, having felt the changes wrought by their enhanced physiques, yearned to grow even stronger. In this apocalyptic world, only through strength could they hope to survive. They then retrieved some gasoline from the warehouse and set the zombie remains ablaze. By this time, the sun had ascended high in the sky. Once they completed their task, they returned to the hall and secured the doors to prevent any wandering zombies from intruding. At that moment, Xinghe had instructed Wang Yan to prepare lunch, inviting everyone to dine on her specialty, noodle soup with minced meat, with each person receiving an additional egg. As the portly duo entered, Xinghe activated the attribute inspection feature, revealing their stats. Portly man, 988, lean man, 898. Both exhibited a physique slightly above the norm. Having absorbed 5 crystal cores, they possessed a 50 absorption efficiency amounting to 25 points. They would need to absorb 15 more to reach the first level of enhancement. Upon seeing Xinghe, the lean man eagerly exclaimed, "Leader, the power boost from these crystal cores is exhilarating. Let us continue our hunt for zombies this afternoon." The portly man chimed in, "Indeed, I can hardly contain my eagerness to grow stronger." "Very well, I had already intended to clear the parking lot of zombies this afternoon," Xinghe replied. "Now, let us ascend to the dining area." With that, the two men followed him to the second floor. Having skipped breakfast and worked diligently all morning, the duo was famished and immediately dove into their meal upon entering. After a while, as everyone was finishing their meal, Xinghe suddenly declared, "I have made up my mind to leave the day after tomorrow." At these words, the group set down their chopsticks. Although they had previously heard of Xinghe's intention to depart in search of his childhood friend in Shuigang City, they had not anticipated his decision would come so swiftly. At a momentary loss for words, after a brief pause, the stout man suddenly spoke up, "Boss, my brother and I have decided to accompany you to Qingshui City. We have no relatives in Lanzhou, and our hometown is in Beihai City, which we likely cannot return to now. It would be safer to travel with you and have each other's backs along the way." "Indeed, boss," the lean man chimed in. "With zombies lurking everywhere, no place is truly safe. It would be wiser to stick together and grow stronger by fighting the undead side by side." At that moment, Wang Yan stood up abruptly. "You will need someone to manage logistics on the journey, so why not take me along? My hometown is in Shihai City, right next to Qingshui City. If given the chance, I would also like to return and see how my parents are doing." Xiaoya remained silent. "Little girl, just come with me," Wang Yan said. Having learned from Xiaoya that her parents had divorced long ago and she had been living with her mother, who had now passed away, leaving her all alone and without support. Upon hearing Wang Yan's words, Xiaoya lifted her head, her little face beaming with joy. "Okay, big sister." Seeing everyone express their intentions, Xinghe had little else to say. "Since everyone wishes to leave with me, I must lay down some ground rules. You will all need to follow my arrangements on this journey. If anyone disagrees, now is the time to back out." "No problem, boss. We will follow your lead." The stout duo responded in unison. Wang Yan and Xiaoya also had no objections. Seeing the consensus, Xinghe continued, "All right, let us eat quickly. We will gather at 2 o'clock in the lobby to clear the zombies from the parking lot this afternoon." "Understood, boss." After the meal, Xinghe called the stout duo over, instructing them to bring along 2 steel pipes and wait outside. After a brief moment, Xinghe handed each of them a short firearm. Although termed short guns, they measured approximately 1.6 meters in length, their gleaming tips appearing exceptionally sharp. "Boss, where did you conjure these impressive guns from?" the stout man inquired. "This is one of my special abilities." The 2 men did not press further. "I see, thank you, boss." They had long envied Xinghe's nanoalloy steel knife and wished for a suitable weapon themselves. However, being in a hotel limited their options to kitchen knives or fire axes, neither of which were ideal for combating zombies. The kitchen knife was too short for safety, while the fire axe was too heavy to wield for prolonged periods. Thus, the brothers had been making do with 2 steel pipes, but now, before them lay the prospect of effective weaponry. Finally, they had something truly useful. These short firearms had been enhanced by Xinghe using his system, costing him a total of 40 energy points to transform the 2 steel pipes into firearms. At 1.6 meters in length, they were sufficient to dispatch zombies from a safe distance, with sharp tips capable of easily delivering fatal blows. Chapter 15. Enhanced Vehicles at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Everyone gathered punctually in the lobby, fully armed and brimming with fighting spirit. The hefty man clutched a rudimentary shield in one hand and a short firearm in the other, while the slender figure also wielded a short gun. Wang Yin held the shield previously crafted for her by Xinghe, and Xiaoya had nothing in her hands. Initially, Xinghe had no intention of bringing them along, but upon reflection, he deemed that leaving them behind might not guarantee their safety. Thus, he decided that they would all move together, which would also serve to strengthen their abilities. In a world ravaged by catastrophe, women and children must possess combat skills. Those lacking such capabilities could not hope to endure for long in this harsh reality. All right, let us commence. Our aim this afternoon is to clear the parking lot and seek suitable vehicles. Yes, boss. Traversing the open space before the hotel, they soon arrived at the parking lot, just a short distance from the guard booth. With a swift motion, Xinghe dispatched the zombie within the booth and organized their formation. "I will lead the way. The hefty man will follow. Wang Yin and Xiaoya will stay in the center, and the slender one will bring up the rear." Upon entering the parking area, they encountered several zombies wandering nearby. Upon noticing the presence of humans, the creatures lunged forward, their eyes glowing a fierce crimson, arms flailing, elongated claws outstretched, and mouths agape in a ghastly roar. Before long, they surged towards Xinghe. After effortlessly dispatching several of the undead, he intentionally allowed one to approach, intending to provide the others with some practical experience. The hefty man, seeing a zombie charge towards them, quickly thrust his shield forward. The zombie collided with the shield, causing the hefty man to stagger back 2 steps. "Slender one now?" Responding to the hefty man's call, the slender figure gripped his short gun tightly and lunged at the zombie. However, a tremor in his hands caused him to miss his mark, the gun instead plunging into the zombie's shoulder. Unfazed by pain, the zombie continued its relentless advance, forcing the slender man to retreat. Observing the slender man's blunder, the hefty man rushed forward and successfully drove his weapon into the zombie's eye, causing a torrent of black blood to erupt forth. The zombie convulsed a few times before falling still. "By all that is holy, aim properly. With a head that large, how could you miss?" The slender man felt a flush of embarrassment, especially with both Wang Yin and Xiaoya watching. He resolved to diligently practice his aim, recalling how effortlessly their leader dispatched foes with a single strike. With the zombies neutralized, Xinghe pressed onward. At that moment, a rustling sound emanated from a nearby vehicle. A zombie was trapped inside. Xinghe opened the door and swiftly drove his blade into the creature's skull. Turning back, he called out to the others, "Maintain your formation and be wary of the zombies inside the vehicles. Eliminate them all. I will scout ahead." "Understood, boss," came the responses from the hefty man and the others. Xinghe advanced, dispatching any zombies that emerged, while the hefty man and his companions methodically progressed, ensuring that all the hidden zombies within the cars were eliminated and their cores extracted. As they ventured deeper into the parking lot, Xinghe spotted his SUV quietly parked in a corner. He chose not to attend to it just yet and continued his search, soon discovering several fine vehicles, their owners having transformed into zombies, yet the keys remained inside. Among them, the imported Wrangler and the Land Rover Defender were selected by Xinghe as one of the options. After a while, the group managed to resolve all remaining threats, handing over a total of 16 crystal cores to Xinghe, retaining 6 for themselves. He pocketed the remaining 10 cores, converting them all into energy. He instructed the others to drive the Wrangler and the Defender back while he approached his own vehicle. "System, how much energy is required to enhance this Chanon?" 400 points of energy. Indeed, as expected, it was not an insignificant amount. Xinghe was already aware that it wouldn't be trivial. Even a single knife required 200 points of energy. To be honest, 400 points for vehicle enhancement was relatively reasonable. System, what is my total energy now? He wondered if it would be sufficient for the upgrade. If not, he would have to venture outside to hunt more zombies. Host, you currently possess a total of 407 points of energy. Xinghe mused, I now suspect that you are merely trying to extract all my energy. System. With 407 points of energy available, the upgrade for the vehicle required precisely 400 points. Was it truly such a coincidence? Xinghe remained skeptical. Seeing that the system did not respond, he took it as a tacit approval. Commence enhancement. Please select the enhancement target. My Chang'an. Very well, beginning enhancement. A blue light enveloped the vehicle. As it was daytime and outdoors, it was not overwhelmingly dazzling. After 4 to 5 seconds, the blue light receded. The dark gray body of the car glimmered with a metallic sheen, appearing significantly larger than before. The size of the tires had also increased, giving the entire vehicle a brand new, striking appearance as if it had just rolled off the production line. Upon opening the door, the previously worn interior was now rejuvenated, and the already spacious cabin felt even roomier. Utilizing the attribute inspection feature, he discovered defense. The body and windows are bulletproof, tires are explosion-proof. Speed, maximum speed of 300 kilometers per hour. These attributes were indeed remarkable. Not only was the vehicle's glass bulletproof and the tires explosion-proof, but it could also reach a maximum speed of 300 kilometers per hour. It is noteworthy that typical family SUVs rarely exceed 200 kilometers, let alone 300. Sitting in the enhanced vehicle, Xinghe grew increasingly fond of it. He ignited the engine, and the roar of the motor filled the air. With a push of the accelerator, the car surged forward with remarkable speed. Arriving at the hotel entrance, he found the others examining the two vehicles they had driven back. Although they had seen such luxury cars before the apocalypse, they had never had the opportunity to drive one. If the apocalypse had not occurred, it was likely they would never have this chance in their lifetime. Seeing Xinghe arrive in such a flashy vehicle, they couldn't help but exclaim, Boss, what kind of car is this? A Chang'an? I've never seen such a model. Having once served as security guards, they honestly had never encountered this particular Chang'an model before. It's a new release, and there's only this one. Xinghe smiled and replied, You're still the best. All right, let's not dwell on this any longer. You two go fetch some gasoline and fill the car to the brim. Wang Yin and Xiaoya, gather the supplies and prepare essential items such as food and water. Then load them onto the vehicle, filling it as much as possible. Understood, boss. Come on, thin guy, let us head to the warehouse, the fatty exclaimed. Wang Yin nodded in acknowledgement and set off with Xiaoya to gather the supplies. Xinghe sat alone on the steps in front of the hotel, gazing at the distant sunset. Finally leaving this place, I wonder how Warner is doing. She must wait for me. Suddenly, a cry pierced the air. Ah, boss. Help. What the hell is that? So fast. Run, big brother. At that moment, the voices of the fatty and his companion echoed from the warehouse. What is happening? What occurred? Xinghe pondered, confusion etched on his face. Hadn't the warehouse been inspected? What could have frightened them to the point of calling for help? Without a moment's hesitation, he sprang up and dashed toward the warehouse. Chapter 16. Taming the mutated orange cat. Upon bursting into the underground warehouse, Xinghe discovered the fatty and his companion cornered by a feline creature. They brandished gasoline canisters, desperately warding off the animal's assault. The arrival of Xinghe startled the creature, causing it to retreat a few steps. The two men quickly scrambled behind Xinghe, exclaiming, Boss, if you had arrived any later, we would have been devoured by that big cat. The fatty's heart raced. Moments ago, while they were about to fill their cans, a large cat had sprung from the shadows. Had it not been for Thin Guy shoving him aside, he would have surely been tackled by the beast, and his fate would have been dire. With the light from the warehouse illuminating the scene, Xinghe finally discerned the true nature of the creature, a half-meter tall, golden-furred feline, approximately 2 meters in length. Its forepaws anxiously clawed at the ground, and the glint of its sharp claws hinted at their lethal potential. Capable of effortlessly slicing through flesh. Using his attribute scanning feature, he identified the creature as a mutated orange cat, with attributes 12,165 and an impressive speed of 16 points. No wonder the fatty and his companion had been driven into a corner. Fortunately, this orange cat was only level 1. Otherwise, even Xinghe would have had to flee. As in the blink of an eye, the mutated orange cat was seen being propelled backwards with a speed even greater than when it had charged forward, landing heavily on the ground and struggling for quite some time without being able to rise. At this moment, Xinghe withdrew his outstretched leg, while the two hefty companions stood with their mouths agape, unable to close them for a prolonged period. Wow, boss, that was impressive. You took down that massive cat with just one kick. The slender one regained his composure, remarking, This mutated cat is incredibly swift, far surpassing your strength. Yet, I am puzzled as to how it came to be here. Suddenly, The stout one interjected, "Boss, I just remembered. There was an infestation of mice in the warehouse. And the manager had raised an orange cat. Could this be that very cat? But it's grown far too large. Indeed, it was almost comparable to a leopard, and it even seemed more formidable." The slender one expressed his disbelief, and upon hearing the stout one's explanation, Xinghe comprehended that it must be the same orange cat. However, its stealth capabilities were truly remarkable. He had inspected the area twice and failed to notice its presence. "But boss, why didn't it show up when we were moving supplies? Why did it suddenly attack us now?" The stout one still found it perplexing. Feline creatures are quite intelligent. This orange cat, having mutated, has become even more astute. I was present before, and it likely perceived me as a threat, thus hiding away. Now that you two are here, it saw my absence and chose to attack you. Xinghe offered a plausible explanation. The stout ones nodded in agreement. But their expressions soon shifted. "Does that mean our strength is so lacking that we have become prey for this mutated orange cat? Damn it, times are tough. First zombies. Now mutated cats. Humanity's status has plummeted from the apex of the food chain to the very bottom." They both felt an overwhelming sense of crisis. Observing Xinghe deep in thought and glancing at the mutated orange cat still sprawled on the ground, the slender one inquired, "Boss, how should we deal with this orange cat? Should we just kill it? It was just thinking of devouring us." Upon hearing the slender one's words, the mutated orange cat began to struggle violently from a distance. "Hey, this creature can understand our words." The stout one was astonished. Xinghe approached the mutated cat, which struggled even more fiercely, but the earlier kick had severely wounded it, rendering it unable to rise. "You can probably understand us. Do you wish to live or die?" Upon hearing Xinghe speak, the mutated orange cat hastily lowered its head and lay flat on the ground. "Huh, boss, what does this mean?" The stout one was perplexed. "It seems to have surrendered," Xinghe concluded. He retrieved a vial of restorative potion from his jacket pocket and administered it to the mutated cat. Although the potion lacked healing properties, it could restore energy, which should aid in its recovery. After a brief moment, perhaps the medication took effect. The mutated orange cat shakily rose to its feet. The two hefty individuals were startled and hurriedly hid behind Xinghe, fearing that the mutated cat might lash out at them once more. "All right, you two go refuel. There's no need for you to concern yourselves here. Be careful, boss. Don't let this creature ambush you." With that, the duo took the oil barrels and departed. "In this post-apocalyptic world, you shall accompany me from now on. I will guide you through the transformations of life and empower you to grow stronger." Xinghe gently spoke to the mutated orange cat. The cat blinked its eyes, uncertain if it understood, and rubbed its large head against Xinghe's leg. "From now on, I shall call you Big Orange." Upon hearing its name, the mutated orange cat meowed, though its voice seemed incongruous with its formidable appearance. Despite its fierce exterior, the sound it produced was soft and gentle. However, anyone who underestimated it would certainly pay with their life. As they exited the warehouse, Big Orange curiously glanced around. As a mutated beast, its regenerative capabilities were exceptionally robust, and after Xinghe administered a recovery potion, it was now able to move about normally. At that moment, Wang Yin descended from the upper floor and spotted Xinghe in the hall. Just as she was about to greet him, Big Orange unexpectedly emerged from behind him, startling her and causing her to stumble down the stairs. She pointed a trembling finger at Xinghe's back, exclaiming, "You, behind you. Are you referring to it?" Xinghe turned around and affectionately patted Big Orange's head, which squinted its eyes in apparent delight. It was discovered by the two hefty fellows in the warehouse. "It nearly harmed them, but I have tamed it. Its name is Big Orange." After explaining to Wang Yin, Xinghe turned back to Big Orange and instructed, "This is Wang Yin, one of us. You must not harm her, understood?" Big Orange nodded repeatedly, leaving Wang Yin astounded. It can understand human speech? Indeed. It is a mutated cat with high intelligence. It will be one of us from now on, Xinghe clarified. "How is the preparation of supplies progressing?" Wang Yin regained her composure. "Everything has been sorted. We just need to load it onto the vehicle." "Good. You all start taking things to the vehicle. Soon. The hefty ones will return after refueling to assist you." With that, he set off with Big Orange, leaving the hotel. Watching Xinghe and the cat exit through the door, Wang Yin let out a sigh of relief. The sudden appearance of Big Orange had greatly startled her, and after a moment of regaining her composure, she stood up. As night gradually descended, the group toiled until past 9 o'clock, managing to load all the necessary items onto the vehicle. After an afternoon of hard work, everyone felt ravenous. The hefty individual proposed a barbecue in the courtyard, justifying it with, "Live for today, who knows what tomorrow holds." Xinghe found no objection to this. The tension had been palpable among everyone for the past few days, and a bit of relaxation was indeed beneficial. Lock the gate to the yard, set up the barbecue grill in the vacant lot in front of the hotel, and gather a plethora of ingredients and spices. The portly fellow also brought along a case of beer. "Take it easy, my friend. We must depart early tomorrow, and we cannot afford to be delayed," admonished Xinghe, reclining on a chair with a platter of grilled delicacies set on the adjacent table, while a large orange cat lounged beside him, gnawing on a bone. "Don't worry, boss, just a modest drink," came the jovial reply from the stout man. As the moon ascended high in the sky, the stars twinkled brightly, and Xinghe observed that, devoid of humanity's pollution, the heavens appeared remarkably clearer. Meanwhile, not far from the Huanyu Hotel, a pair of crimson eyes fixated on their gathering. The moonlight illuminated a grotesque visage, revealing a decayed mouth with sharp teeth gnawing at something, as crimson liquid dripped from the corners of its maw. Chapter 17. An encounter with an ambush. The orange cat demonstrates its might as dawn broke. The group sprang into action, some preparing breakfast while others checked supplies, with the large orange cat basking in the sun on the steps. After breakfast, the party set forth in 3 vehicles, embarking on their journey with great vigor. Xinghe led the way in a Chang'an, followed by the lean man driving a Land Rover Defender with a young girl in tow, and the stout man piloting a Wrangler with Wang Yin bringing up the rear. The vehicles maintained a distance of about 10 meters apart for mutual support, while the orange cat perched atop Xinghe's car, vigilantly surveying the surroundings. Prior to departure, they had studied the map, deciding to traverse through Zhaoyang district after leaving Huanyu. Then take the Ring Road Expressway, entering the Lanjing Expressway at the Lanzhou East Toll Station. The most perilous stretch lay within Zhaoyang district, the main urban area of Lanzhou, densely populated and, naturally, the epicenter of the zombie outbreak. However, if they could successfully navigate through Zhaoyang and onto the Ring Road Expressway, they would enjoy a smooth passage thereafter. Having driven 300 to 500 meters from Huanyu, the convoy encountered several zombies. Xinghe, eager to test the reinforced capabilities of his vehicle, did not swerve but instead accelerated directly into the oncoming horde. With a series of resounding thuds, the zombies were flung aside, crashing to the ground and attempting to rise, only to be crushed by the passing vehicles. The enhancements to the car indeed rendered it much more formidable. It felt remarkably stable even when colliding with multiple zombies. Xinghe felt no significant jolts while seated within. Maintaining their speed, the convoy pressed onward, with zombies trailing behind, but after approximately a kilometer, Xinghe sensed an anomaly. The number of zombies around them had significantly increased, particularly at the upcoming intersection, where a large throng awaited, a dense mass of no fewer than 50 or 60. As the apocalypse approached, dusk was settling in. Coupled with the increasing incidence of rabid individuals attacking others, the streets should not have been so crowded. Even with the slow emergence of zombies over the past few days, it was improbable that so many would gather at the intersection. When unusual occurrences arise, something sinister is often at play. Observing the multitude of zombies, Xinghe felt uncertain about his ability to navigate safely through them. Thus, he decelerated and halted his vehicle over 200 meters away from the horde. Activating the intercom, he alerted the 2 vehicles trailing behind him. "Attention, there is a significant number of zombies at the intersection ahead. Prepare to turn back and circumvent through the adjacent blocks." Just as Xinghe instructed the convoy to turn around, the group of zombies began to stir without any warning, roaring and charging toward the vehicles. At their pace, they would reach the convoy in less than 20 seconds. What in the world is happening? Have they detected us from such a distance? Xinghe thought, sensing impending danger. Upon receiving his warning, the hefty man and the lean one hastily executed a turn, only to realize that a considerable number of zombies, approximately 20 to 30, had inexplicably emerged behind them. "Boss, this is bad. There are zombies behind us." The panicked voice of the hefty man crackled through the intercom. What? Even a fool could discern that the situation was dire. The appearance of these zombies was no mere coincidence. Prepare for battle. Position the 3 vehicles in a triangular formation, leaving 2 gaps. The hefty man's vehicle, originally at the end of the line, had now become the lead car. Given its performance, it was impossible for him to break through the encirclement of 20 to 30 zombies. Furthermore, the zombies behind were closing in rapidly. Remaining inside the vehicle would be tantamount to seeking death. They had no choice but to create a barricade with their cars, utilizing the spaces between them to confront the oncoming zombies. Everyone disembarked. "Boss, what on earth is going on? I feel like we are surrounded by zombies." The hefty man also sensed that something was amiss. There was undoubtedly a deeper mystery at play. "You and the lean man guard that side. I'll handle this." Wang Yin was ready to assist at any moment. Xinghe grasped his nanoalloy steel knife and swiftly decapitated the foremost zombie. The hefty man raised his shield, relentlessly stabbing at the zombies' heads with his sidearm, while the lean man worked to eliminate any that slipped through. The battle escalated into a fierce confrontation. But as it wore on, the stamina of the hefty man and the lean man began to falter. Despite their bodies having been enhanced by the absorption of crystal cores, they were not yet level 1 evolved beings. After a while, both felt their arms growing sore, nearly unable to lift their weapons, yet they persisted with their remaining strength. In that critical moment, a particularly robust zombie charged forward, causing the hefty man to stumble. In that fleeting instant, the horde behind surged ahead, threatening to overwhelm their defenses. The lean man was at a loss, the situation spiraling beyond control. A figure suddenly leaped over the hefty man's head, followed by a series of sharp sounds. The undead that had aimed to rush into the opening fell to the ground, their brains having been obliterated. It was none other than the formidable feline, Big Orange, who had swiftly resolved the dilemma. In a flash, it dashed forth, leaving a trail of fallen zombies in its wake, their skulls crushed beneath its power. The two hefty men were finally granted a moment's respite amidst the ongoing battle. On the other side, Xinghe was witnessing zombies collapsing one after another. Yet an uncountable horde continued to surge forward. His stamina was depleting rapidly, prompting him to retrieve a restorative potion from his pocket and consume it in one gulp. Immediately feeling a significant resurgence of energy, through the gaps in the throng of zombies, Xinghe suddenly noticed a peculiar undead creature lingering at the rear of the group. While the other zombies were frantically charging ahead, this one stood apart, motionless and oddly distinct. Due to the distance, he was unable to employ his attribute detection ability, leaving him oblivious to the creature's status. Perhaps frustrated by its inability to rend these humans apart after such relentless assault, the strange zombie let out a piercing howl, inciting the horde to become even more agitated and hastening their advance, thereby intensifying the pressure on everyone, particularly the hefty man, who was in despair. Recognizing that the hefty man was nearing exhaustion, Xinghe tossed a restorative potion his way. "What is this, boss?" the hefty man inquired. "It's for recovering stamina." Upon hearing this, the hefty man's eyes lit up. He uncorked the vial and gulped it down, savoring its sweetness. Shortly after, he felt his fatigue considerably diminish. "I feel revitalized," he exclaimed, rejoining the fray. The efficacy of the restorative potion depended on the user's physique. Even with Xinghe's second-level evolution physique, he could regain approximately 30% of his stamina. It was no surprise that the hefty man, who had yet to evolve even once, experienced a remarkable recovery of over 60% after consuming the potion, hence his exuberant declaration of renewed vigor. By this time, Big Orange had dispatched the zombies trailing behind. Noticing that his assistance was no longer required, the hefty man turned to Xinghe and shouted, "Boss, we're here to help." With shield in hand, he charged into the fray, and Big Orange soon followed suit. Together they pressed forward against the zombies. Seeing the tide of battle turning in their favor, Xinghe intended to instruct Big Orange to deal with the peculiar zombie. However, upon searching for it, he discovered that the strange creature had vanished without a trace, and he was compelled to abandon the pursuit. Chapter 18. The police station. Once the remaining zombies were dealt with, the group collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath. Xinghe, equally exhausted, hurried to the vehicle to retrieve a box of water, fortifying it into restorative potions to distribute among his companions, 2 bottles each, one for immediate consumption and one for later use. The battle vividly demonstrated the significance of restorative potions, prompting Xinghe to promptly stockpile an additional 20 bottles as a precaution. "Everyone in Xinghe, I trust?" he inquired, scanning the group, who all shook their heads in unison. "Boss, I can't shake the feeling that today's zombies were rather unusual. They even set ambushes. I genuinely thought we might meet our demise," remarked the slender man, his voice tinged with lingering fear. "If my intuition serves me correctly, the root of all this turmoil lies with that peculiar zombie. It appears capable of commanding others and was astute enough to evade when the situation turned dire." "Boss, could it be that this zombie possesses intelligence?" pondered the plump man, voicing his speculation. "Goodness, if zombies truly exhibited intellect, what hope would humanity have left?" Xinghe shared this sentiment. Regrettably, the zombie had escaped, and had it not, his probing abilities would have yielded invaluable information. Enough of this. Let us take a moment to rest and swiftly locate the crystal cores. Upon hearing this, the plump man and his companion's eyes sparkled with excitement. With so many zombies, think of the multitude of crystal cores we could acquire. They immediately set to work, foregoing rest to dig for the cores. Wang Yan, having previously learned from Xinghe that crystal cores could enhance physical strength, suppressed her nausea and joined the search. In this post-apocalyptic world, every survivor desired to grow stronger, and women were no exception. Approximately half an hour later, the group successfully unearthed all the crystal cores. The plump man laid out a piece of clothing on the ground and piled the cores into a neat mound, counting them to reveal a total of 83. "Boss, please allocate them," he requested. Xinghe pondered briefly before deciding that each of the plump man and the slender man should absorb 8 cores. They required 12 more to achieve the first level of evolution. Thus, he distributed 24 cores to the duo, while Wang Yin and Xiaoye each received 5 to bolster their physicality, with plans to consider further enhancements later. Xinghe was not being selfish. He too sought to strengthen himself, believing in the judicious use of resources. Since Wang Yin and Xiaoye lacked significant combat capabilities, primarily managing logistics, it was unnecessary to invest heavily in them. In contrast, the plump man and the slender man exhibited combat potential, making their evolution to the first level a priority for the overall strength of the team. Once they received the crystal cores, the plump man and the slender man eagerly absorbed them, and soon both achieved the first level of evolution. Observing their attributes, Xinghe noted, plump man 131,212, slender man 121,312, each having increased by 5 points, marking a substantial enhancement in their prowess. Boss, I feel an overwhelming surge of power within me. Is this what it means to be a first-level evolved? Exclaimed the plump man, flexing his fists. Indeed, both of you are now first-level evolved beings, with your physical capabilities significantly augmented. The two individuals were filled with exuberance, eager to find a zombie to practice against. Boss, what level of evolutionary being are you now? The slender one inquired with great curiosity, speculating that given Xinghe's formidable strength, he must be at least a level 2 evolutionary being. I have just reached level 2. Xinghe confirmed, validating the slender one's guess. At that moment, the large orange cat also approached. Noticing its keen desire for the crystal cores, Xinghe generously offered it 10, which the cat devoured in one gulp, subsequently letting out a satisfied burp. Once Wang Yin and the others had absorbed their crystal cores, the convoy resumed its journey. The number of vehicles on the road gradually increased, haphazardly cluttering the pathway, significantly impeding the convoy's speed. Boss, I discovered a police station along our route on the map. Should we stop by and check it out? There might be useful gear or even firearms within. The plump one exclaimed, growing increasingly animated. A police station, he reiterated, his enthusiasm palpable. Yes, right. A police station is likely to have equipment. Currently, everyone is dressed in ordinary clothing, armed merely with rudimentary shields. Facing zombies poses a considerable risk. If we happen to be injured by one, it could spell disaster. Finding protective gear and weapons would greatly enhance our survival capabilities. And if we could find firearms, we would possess ranged weaponry, enabling us to eliminate zombies from a distance. With this thought in mind, Xinghe picked up the walkie-talkie. All right, let us move forward. Our objective is the police station. After an hour of travel, they arrived at Hualin Street, with the police station situated just 400 meters ahead. However, Xinghe and his team were hesitant to approach. Prior to the apocalypse, an increase in rabies cases had led many to report incidents at the police station, resulting in an overwhelming number of zombies in the vicinity. Furthermore, Xinghe had spotted a towering figure within the police station, a powerful zombie. This strength-type zombie loomed larger than the ones Xinghe had encountered previously at Huanyu, standing out among the other zombies like a crane among chickens. Boss, what should we do? There are so many zombies. We can't get in without clearing them out. The plump one voiced his concern. Xinghe furrowed his brow as he surveyed the horde. If they were merely ordinary zombies, perhaps 50 or 60, his team could handle them with ease. Yet, the presence of a strength-type zombie complicated matters. While he could manage it on his own, allowing the plump one and the others to confront such a formidable number of zombies could prove to be quite challenging. They needed a clever strategy to eliminate a portion of the zombies first. Just then, Xinghe noticed a department store by the roadside. Plump one, let us disembark and see if that store has a loudspeaker. Huh, boss, what do we need a loudspeaker for? The plump one questioned. No time for questions. Hurry up and go get it. Bring the slender one with you. Understood. After exiting the vehicle, they first dealt with the nearby wandering zombies before entering the department store. Before long, the two emerged, each carrying several loudspeakers and making their way back to Xinghe's vehicle. Xinghe rolled down the car window and instructed the two of them to move forward a bit. After approximately 300 meters, they were to place the horn on the ground and quickly return, leaving one every 50 meters. At that moment, the two men understood. The plan was to lure a portion of the zombies with the horn for extermination, followed by dispatching the remainder. Cautiously, they approached the police station while holding the horn, halting at a distance of 300 meters. Several zombies had already noticed their presence and were rushing toward them. As one horn was activated, a loud voice echoed. $2, $2, everything for $2. Hurry and choose, don't miss out as you pass by. The resounding proclamation reverberated through the silent streets, causing the zombies at the entrance of the police station to turn around. Countless pairs of crimson eyes chilled the two men, prompting them to flee. After sprinting 50 meters, they hastily activated another horn and tossed it onto the ground, finally reaching Xinghe breathlessly. All right, Prepare for battle, Li Xinghe declared, grasping a nanoalloy steel blade. Chapter 19. Discovery of the armory. The group stood ready as the zombies were drawn in by the horns, soon charging towards the convoy, numbering around 30. The stout man raised his shield, positioning himself at the forefront, while inserting his short gun into the mouth of the nearest zombie. With a powerful thrust of his shield, he toppled 2 more zombies behind him. The slender man dashed forward, swiftly smashing the heads of the 2 rising zombies with precise strikes. Their seamless coordination elicited approving nods from Li Xinghe. Indeed, only through combat could one continually improve. The duo had greatly surpassed their initial encounter with the undead. Li Xinghe refrained from watching further as the 3 swiftly dispatched the remaining zombies. After extracting the crystal cores, they took a brief respite before driving the vehicle to the entrance of the police station. The sudden appearance of the car startled the zombies inside, prompting them to surge outward in a frenzy. Among them, a powerful zombie charged forth with remarkable speed, quickly approaching. Just as Li Xinghe prepared to confront this formidable foe, a yellow figure darted forward with surprising agility. It was Big Orange, visibly intrigued by the mutated zombie. Leaping high, it struck with a claw, leaving 3 deep gashes across the zombie's face. This action seemingly provoked the hulking creature, which bellowed in rage and pursued Big Orange. The agile feline evaded its grasp, leaving the brute to flail in frustration, unable to land a blow. If only the zombie possessed intelligence, it would surely be infuriated. Despite its relentless attacks, it could not touch Big Orange, whose superior speed placed it in an advantageous position from the outset. With opportunistic strikes, Big Orange managed to inflict several deep claw marks on the powerful zombie. As their skirmish extended further, other zombies joined the fray, igniting another battle. Li Xinghe and his companions continued to slice through the horde when suddenly, it dawned on him. Had he forgotten something? Oh no. Killing a mutated zombie yields 200 points of energy. If Big Orange were to eliminate that powerful zombie, he would incur a significant loss. With only a few zombies remaining, Li Xinghe hurried to the location where Big Orange was engaged in battle. Boss, where are you going? The fatty inquired after dispatching a zombie with a single gunshot. Don't mind me. Just finish off those zombies and clear the battlefield. Li Xinghe's voice echoed from a distance as he raced ahead. After running for a while, he finally spotted Big Orange and the formidable zombie on the adjacent street. The powerful zombie was on its last legs, its massive form marred by numerous wounds. The most grievous being its head, which was a gruesome sight, barely holding together. Just as Big Orange prepared to launch another attack, Li Xinghe called out, "Wait." As soon as the words left his lips, Big Orange abruptly halted, gazing at Li Xinghe with an innocent expression. Ignoring the feline, Li Xinghe brandished his nanoalloy steel knife and leapt onto a nearby trash bin, propelling himself forward with determination. The alloy knife swung down, severing the zombie's colossal head, which fell to the ground with a thud. Only after a few seconds did the massive body of the powerful zombie collapse. Big Orange trotted over and nudged Li Xinghe with its head. "Are you hurt?" Li Xinghe asked as he petted the feline. Big Orange circled around him twice, indicating it was unscathed. He then extracted the crystal core and directly converted it into energy. By the time Li Xinghe and Big Orange returned to the battlefield, the fatty and the others had already concluded their fight and were now searching for crystal cores. "Boss, how did it go? Did you take down that big guy?" The fatty eagerly asked upon seeing Li Xinghe return. "By the way, boss, what was the deal with that zombie? Why was it so massive?" The lean one curiously handed a crystal core to Li Xinghe. "It's dealt with. That zombie was a powerful variant among mutated zombies, significantly stronger than ordinary ones and possessing outrageous strength, though it was relatively slow. So if you encounter it, never engage in a direct confrontation." Li Xinghe added, "Of course. The energy from this type of mutated zombie's crystal core is tenfold that of a regular zombie." "Tenfold," the fatty and his companion exclaimed, their eyes glowing with excitement. But upon considering the size of that creature, they shook their heads. "Best not to dwell on it. Let us stick to taking down ordinary zombies. The crystal cores are enticing, but life is far more precious. I lack the strength of the boss." "All right, have you finished inspecting the crystal cores? Then we shall proceed into the police station," Li Xinghe declared, leading Big Orange into the courtyard of the station. Several police cars were parked in the yard, all doors tightly locked and devoid of any contents. After a thorough inspection revealed no anomalies, the fatty and the others entered as well. "Boss, we've completed the search. Nothing has been overlooked. Here are the crystal cores," the fatty said, handing a bag of cores to Li Xinghe. Li Xinghe placed the crystal core into his pocket, delaying its transformation until after leaving the police station. He led the group into the precinct, entering a spacious hall adorned with several small booths for processing matters. Inside, a few female zombies were clawing at the glass, easily dispatched by the others. The stout and slender members of the group proceeded to the left, while I guided Wang Yin and the others to the right, intending to clear the area and locate the armory. Understood, boss. Thus, Xinghe and the others split into 2 teams to explore the police station. Fortunately, there weren't many zombies within. The first floor housed the main hall for administrative tasks. The second floor contained the public security management offices, and the third floor was dedicated to criminal investigations. In total, there were 3 levels. After making a couple of rounds, they found nothing but a few zombies. The group reconvened in the hall. Boss, did you find anything? We come up empty-handed. The stout and slender members lamented. I found nothing on my end either. Just as they were about to resign themselves to a fruitless trip, Xinghe suddenly suggested, could it be in the basement? But there's no basement, the stout one remarked, puzzled. Let us search more thoroughly, Xinghe advised. They all complied and began to inspect the area once again. Come quickly, I found something. There's an iron door here. The slender one's voice echoed from the end of the corridor. Soon, everyone gathered before the imposing iron gate. During their earlier search, the darkness had concealed this door from view, but now they could see the words Arms Depot. Authorized personnel only inscribed upon it. The door appeared robust, accompanied by a fingerprint-activated keypad. The group pondered, how do we get in? Without a code or fingerprint. Entry seems impossible. I know how to open this door, the stout one exclaimed. You too, gather all the hands of those in police uniforms. Regardless of whether they are alive or undead. The others suddenly understood. That is a brilliant idea, boss. How do we not think of that? They hurriedly collected all the hands of the uniformed individuals and began trying them one by one. Finally, when a middle-aged man's hand was placed upon the scanner, the great iron door swung open, illuminating the room within. Boss, we struck gold, the stout one exclaimed in astonishment. Chapter 20, Fully Armed, Basic Alloy Battle Armor. Upon entering, racks displayed a line of special operations uniforms in various sizes, followed by tactical helmets, gloves, vests, combat knives, bulletproof vests, police binoculars, and a stack of riot shields. Yet, that was merely the beginning. Venturing further, they encountered a pristine collection of 54-style handguns. An entire box of ammunition, approximately 5,000 rounds. As they advanced, they spotted a row of 95-style assault rifles hanging from the racks, and even an NSG-1 sniper rifle neatly positioned atop a table. In the corner of the room lay several boxes of ammunition, along with a box of grenades and another containing tear gas canisters. The stout and the slender, intrigued by the array of weapons, exchanged glances. Boss, with so many weapons, are we taking them all? Inquired the stout one. Certainly not. We cannot possibly carry such a quantity. Each of us will don a combat uniform, with an additional 2 spare sets, 1 pistol, 1 dagger, and 1 Type 95 rifle per person. We shall take all the ammunition and grenades, along with 2 binoculars and a riot shield. Upon concluding this, the group first changed into their combat attire, then began to gather the weaponry. 10,000 rounds of pistol ammunition, 100,000 rounds of rifle ammunition, 2,000 rounds for the sniper rifle, and 3 boxes of grenades. As for the tear gas canisters, they only took 1 box as a reserve, ensuring that each vehicle was loaded with a portion before departing. Dressed in their new gear, they appeared quite commendable, save for the stout individual who looked somewhat peculiar. The others, particularly Wang Yan, donned their uniforms with an air of gallantry, drawing the attention of both the stout and slender companions. The stout fumbled with the Type 95 rifle, prompting Xinghe to chuckle and ask, so, stout one, do you know how to handle a gun? Hey boss, don't joke around. I've never even touched one before. Come, allow me to instruct you. Xinghe expertly loaded the Type 95, chambered a round, disengaged the safety, and took aim, resulting in a bullet hole appearing in a nearby tree. Wow, impressive. Boss, have you served in the military? The stout's eyes widened, and the others were equally astonished. Haha, not at all. However, during my university's military training, I did practice live-fire shooting. Coincidentally, I used the Type 95, which is why I am so familiar with it. The group finally understood, and Xinghe proceeded to teach them how to operate the firearms and grenades. Everyone was diligently learning, including Xiaoya. In the end, Xinghe cautioned, always ensure the muzzle is not pointed at your comrades to prevent accidental discharges. Understood, boss. After some time spent handling the equipment, they noticed the sun had risen high in the sky. Checking his tactical watch, Xinghe noted it was already 1 o'clock and instructed everyone to take a break and have a meal. After dining, Xinghe reclined in the vehicle, converting all crystal cores into energy. System, how much energy do I currently possess? You possess a total of 2,207 points of energy. Xinghe pondered, recognizing that his current strength was sufficient for the moment, and his vehicle had recently undergone an upgrade. To enhance it to a level 3 evolutionary form would require 10,000 points of energy, a prospect that seemed distant, with a shortfall of 8,000 points. His immediate priority was to ensure safety. Gazing at his combat uniform, he inquired, "System, how much energy is needed to enhance the combat suit?" Ding. Host, in response to your inquiry, the energy enhancement branch has now been activated. You may now determine the direction of energy enhancement for your chosen objects. However, the energy required will vary accordingly. Would you like to make a decision regarding the enhancement direction? Indeed, host, this enables you to enhance the object according to your specific desires. For instance, the combat suit you wish to strengthen can be endowed with new capabilities, such as the ability to dive, become invisible, or even fly. Alternatively, you may choose to bolster its existing attributes, enhancing its defensive power, flexibility, or resistance to fire and water, anything your imagination can conceive. Goodness gracious, is this not extraordinary? What if I desire a suit of armor akin to Iron Man's? The energy requirements vary. A lower-tier configuration employs titanium alloy and integrates an advanced intellect module, necessitating 2,000 points of energy. A mid-tier configuration utilizes reinforced titanium alloy with a basic artificial intelligence, requiring 20,000 points. While the high-tier configuration is crafted from nanomaterial and incorporates a sophisticated artificial intelligence, demanding 200,000 points of energy. With 207 points of energy currently at my disposal, I instruct the system to enhance the combat suit into a lower-tier alloy armor, requesting it in black. Acknowledged, host. Commencing enhancement now. A blue light envelopes Xinghe's entire being. Through the luminescence, he faintly perceives a black alloy armor gradually manifesting upon him, first encasing his neck, until he is completely shrouded in a sleek, obsidian suit, reminiscent of a figure from a science fiction realm. Gazing into the rearview mirror, he beholds his armored reflection, and a single thought resonates within him. How strikingly handsome. He runs his hands over the armor, unable to contain his exhilaration. What man would not desire such a magnificent suit? After reveling in his excitement for a considerable time, Xinghe refocuses his attention on the armor's functionalities. Constructed entirely from titanium alloy, it is equipped with an energy-dissipating mechanism, capable of effortlessly withstanding sniper fire. Conventional firearms pose no threat to him. With this armor, he could endure several blows from power-based zombies without issue. Moreover, it is outfitted with an advanced intellect module that assists in analyzing the armor's condition, identifying enemy weaknesses, and features numerous auxiliary functions such as air purification and oxygen conversion. Truly remarkable. The only drawback is the absence of flight capabilities, which are exclusive to mid-tier armors. After a lengthy examination, he is jolted back to reality when a portly friend approaches and taps on his window, prompting him to realize it is time to depart. Lowering the car window, he finds his friend momentarily stunned by his armored appearance, eyes wide in disbelief. "Wow, boss, what in the world are you wearing?" The astonished exclamation draws the curiosity of others, who gather around. Xinghe steps out of the vehicle, aware that he cannot conceal his transformation any longer. Nor does he wish to, as it will inevitably be revealed. Goodness, how incredibly handsome. Where did you acquire this armor? His slender friend leans in closer, eagerly examining the suit, even tapping it to confirm its metallic composition. "This is solid, brother." At this moment, the portly fellow found himself at a loss for words. The surprises bestowed upon them by their leader grew ever more astonishing. Even if Xinghe were to conjure a spaceship, he would not be taken aback. Wang Yan and Xiaoyu approached, and upon witnessing Xinghe's striking attire, they too were captivated. Clad in black armor, his chiseled features rendered him irresistible, and few girls could remain unmoved, yet alas, he was already taken. Chapter 21. Encountering survivors. I can only imagine that many of you are curious about the nature of my armor. In truth, I had previously shared with the portly fellow and others that I possess a unique ability, enhancement. This power allows me to fortify items using the energy derived from zombie cores. Pausing momentarily, Xinghe continued, "The alloy blade I wield, the short firearms used by my friends, the restorative potions from before, my vehicle, and the very armor you see now, all have been enhanced through my ability." Impressive, leader. Although you had informed us of your extraordinary capability, I never anticipated its magnitude, exclaimed the portly fellow, still in a state of astonishment. "Hey, when will you craft a set for us?" The lean fellow interjected, eager for his own enhancement. "Get back to driving. Do you think this is merely a matter of plucking vegetables?" Xinghe retorted, delivering a light kick to the lean fellow's backside. The latter, clutching his rear, hurriedly scampered away. "All right, everyone, let us board the vehicle and prepare to depart. Tonight, let us see if we can access the highway around the city." As the convoy neared the outskirts of Zhaoyang district, an unexpected situation arose. A horde of zombies had gathered outside a shop, surrounding a man who appeared to be fighting desperately, on the verge of succumbing. Realizing that there was a survivor in peril, Li Xinghe quickly called for Deju to assist. The man ensnared by the zombies was named Qinjun. When the apocalypse erupted, he had contacted his wife, urging her to secure their home and keep their children safe, promising he would find a way back. However, the collapse of transportation systems and the rampant spread of zombies thwarted his plans. Fortunately, as the heir to the Chun family's Tai Chi swordsmanship, he had honed his skills to perfection, equipping him with the means to fend off the undead, ensuring he did not become mere fodder for them. In the days that followed, he sought every possible route to escape, to leave Lanzhou, but found himself overwhelmed against the relentless tides of zombies. One's strength could only go so far. Although he was formidable, he could only contend with 3 to 5 zombies at a time. More than that posed a risk, as he had observed that anyone bitten or injured by these creatures would inevitably transform into one of them. Today, he could no longer bear the weight. His wife and children were counting on him. If he did not devise a plan to reach Huasher soon, he feared for their safety. He had set his sights on an open Volkswagen, the keys dangling from the ignition, likely abandoned by its driver who had succumbed to the undead. If he could eliminate the zombies in the stairwell and make a swift dash to the vehicle, he could drive away to safety. Initially, everything unfolded as he had anticipated. After dispatching a few zombies in the corridor, he ventured outside onto the street. Just as he was about to dash towards the vehicle, 3 or 4 zombies emerged unexpectedly from around the corner, colliding directly with him. This, however, was not the worst of it, as the guttural howls of these zombies echoed. An increasing number emerged from the shadows, one of which moved with remarkable speed, nearly injuring Qinjun during several frantic encounters. Surrounded by a dozen more zombies, he found himself cornered at the entrance of a shop. Damn it, why is this zombie so fast? What a stroke of bad luck, he cursed under his breath, struggling to fend them off with his Tai Chi sword. Am I truly destined to perish here today? Thoughts of his wife and children ignited a fierce will to survive within him, a primal urge that sustained him until the arrival of Li Xinghe and his companions. Suddenly, a young man clad in peculiar attire, wielding an alloy knife and accompanied by a large cat, appeared behind the zombies. With a swift motion, the sound of the blade exiting its sheath resonated, and one by one, the zombies fell before him, their bodies severed. Even the swift zombie was not spared. Within mere moments, several zombies lay lifeless on the ground, dispatched by the cat's agile leaps. In the span of 3 to 5 seconds, the horde of 10 or so zombies was eradicated. Qinjun, regaining his composure, approached Li Xinghe with a fist salute, expressing his gratitude. Thank you, young brother, for your timely intervention. Without your assistance, I would have surely succumbed to this horde. Not at all. In these times of rampant undead, where humanity is nearly extinct, it is imperative for us survivors to band together for warmth and support. Li Xinghe candidly shared his thoughts. You speak true, yet I, Chun, am of modest strength and struggle to preserve my own life, let alone assist others. He was astonished that anyone could withstand the onslaught of mutated zombies for such a duration. Utilizing the attribute detection feature, Li Xinghe discerned that this was indeed a mutated zombie with attributes of 10,161 and a speed rating of 16, indicating it was a speed-oriented fiend. Turning his attention to Qinjun, he employed the attribute detection again, revealing 111,210. This individual's physique and reflexes were exceptionally high, suggesting he was a martial artist. At that moment, the others, including the portly companion, approached. Boss, what's the situation? Nothing serious. I've rescued a survivor. The portly man scrutinized Qinjun, noting his sharp gaze, square jaw, and upright posture, clad in martial arts attire and wielding a Tai Chi sword, giving him the appearance of a seasoned martial artist. Hey, boss. Is this person from a theater troupe? He chuckled. Forgive my rudeness, but I see that your swordsmanship is quite refined. You must be a practitioner of martial arts. Li Xinghe inquired tentatively. Indeed, I am Qinjun, the heir of the Chun family's Tai Chi sword technique. Indeed, it is not incorrect, among that horde of zombies. One was a speed-type zombie. Brother Chin's ability to endure under its assault for so long is truly commendable. What on earth? Boss, there are speed-type zombies? The hefty man exclaimed, swiftly turning to search among the corpses. Sure enough, he discovered a zombie that deviated from the rest. It was smaller in stature, approximately 1.5 meters tall, with claws significantly longer and sharper than those of typical zombies. Its feet had also undergone mutation, becoming considerably larger, indicating that it crawled using both hands and feet. At this moment, the hefty man realized the gravity of the situation. Upon glancing at Qinjun, he thought, goodness, this man is truly skilled, able to contend with mutated zombies. Both he and the lean man had already reached the first level of evolution, and engaging with mutated zombies required utmost caution. However, this was not the time for discussion. The hefty man urged them to quickly gather the crystal cores. Understood, boss. By the time they unearthed the crystal cores, several zombies had already approached. Brother Chun, you should get in the lean man's vehicle, Xinghe urged Qinjun. All right. Little brother. Once they boarded the vehicle, a multitude of zombies surrounded them. Xinghe pressed the accelerator with fervor, sending the obstructing zombies flying as the convoy sped out of Zhaoyang district. After approximately half an hour of driving, the Ring Expressway appeared before them. Chapter 22. The mutated sparrow. Once they entered the Ring Expressway, a collective sigh of relief escaped the group, and the atmosphere lightened. I wonder why Brother Chun was trapped outside by the zombies. The lean man inquired, perplexed. Shouldn't everyone be sheltering at home? My wife and child are in Xinghe City. I had intended to secure a vehicle and dash out of Lanzhou, but unexpectedly found myself besieged by zombies, nearly losing my life in the process. Brother Chun is heading to Xinghe City? What a coincidence. We are en route to Qingshui City, which is conveniently along the way, the lean man remarked, feeling the serendipity of the situation. Since Xinghe City lies to the west of Qingshui City, traveling to Xinghe necessitates passing through Qingshui. I notice you are all donned in tactical gear and armed. Are you special police? Although he posed the question, Qinjun sensed they did not quite fit that mold. This group comprised individuals of various shapes and sizes, including men, women, and even children. They hardly resembled a cohesive unit. No. This gear was procured from the police station. Upon hearing this, and recalling Xinghe and the large cat's earlier appearance, Qinjun deduced that this small team was formidable. And what of that large cat? Qinjun inquired, reminiscing about the creature. Oh, you mean the big orange one? That was acquired by our leader. It is a mutated ginger cat with considerable strength. A mutated cat? Indeed, a mutated cat. Not only have zombies undergone mutations, but animals have as well. And even humans have developed superpowers. Our leader. At this point, the lean man felt he had divulged too much. It was prudent to keep their leader's special abilities under wraps for now. Qinjun pondered, sensing this small team was extraordinary, particularly their leader. That enigmatic young man who seemed to possess unique powers. It was fortuitous to accompany them to Qingshui City rather than face the journey alone. As the thin man observed him beginning to close his eyes in a moment of repose, he ceased his chatter. The convoy traversed the city bypass. And as they distanced themselves from the urban center, the number of vehicles on the road dwindled, allowing the convoy to accelerate gradually. Apart from the 3 drivers, the others were succumbing to drowsiness, while the sun began its descent, painting the clouds in the sky a vivid crimson. Lost in the beauty of this scene, Xinghe suddenly noticed a small patch of dark clouds emerging on the horizon, approaching them rapidly. Just as he pondered this anomaly, he realized that these were not clouds at all, but rather a flock of sparrows. This avian assembly was unusually large, with the smallest measuring 30 to 40 centimeters, and some reaching lengths of half a meter. Alarmed, Xinghe exclaimed, "Oh no, it's a mutated bird swarm." At that moment, Deju, who was lounging in the passenger seat, also displayed a look of caution upon witnessing the approaching flock. Attention, all personnel. Attention, all personnel. A mutated bird swarm has appeared ahead. Maintain formation, secure your windows, and do not lag behind. As his voice echoed, everyone jolted in surprise. Peering out the window, they saw a massive dark mass in the distance, an unknown species of bird hurtling towards the convoy. How lively. We've only just left Lanzhou and already encountered mutated birds. Boss, what kind of birds are these? The chubby man inquired, seemingly unfazed. Mutated sparrows. Their attacking power is not to be underestimated. If they decide to assault the convoy, we would be in grave trouble. A few scattered mutated sparrows flew past his vehicle, and upon using his ability to assess their attributes, he noted that most were around 3,153, with some larger individuals boasting a strength of 4 points. This level of power was quite formidable for a sparrow, considering that a typical adult male possesses only 8 points of strength. Initially dismissive, the chubby man began to reconsider as he observed some of these sparrows reaching half a meter in length. Good heavens, have you ever seen a sparrow that big? If they were to attack us, we would indeed be in dire straits. Everyone cautiously focused on the flock, only to discover that the birds showed no interest in the convoy, which allowed them to exhale in relief as the avian horde gradually passed overhead, restoring brightness to the sky. They're finally gone, the chubby man exclaimed, patting his chest in relief, and the others shared in his sense of relief. Wait, boss. A small group of mutated sparrows is turning back, the thin man cried out in alarm. Xinghe glanced in the rearview mirror and confirmed that a small cluster of mutated sparrows had separated from the main flock and was now heading towards the convoy. Increase speed. This group of mutated sparrows has intentions towards us. The chubby man and the thin man pressed their feet firmly on the gas pedal, and the vehicle's speed quickly escalated. However, after a while, the mutated sparrows behind them continued to pursue relentlessly, and the gap between them and the convoy was steadily closing. What should we do, boss? They are catching up, and we can't shake them. The thin man was truly panicked now, finding himself at the tail end of the convoy. The first to face the impending threat. Maintain our speed and keep moving forward. Xinghe spoke little, gradually reducing his speed to the rear of the convoy. Boss, what are you doing? The hefty one questioned, visibly perplexed by the unfolding scene. At that moment, the mutated sparrows from behind had reached nearly Xinghe, with several already pecking at his vehicle. Do not worry about me. You all go ahead. My car has been reinforced, and once I shake them off, I will catch up with you, he said, gently decelerating. As Xinghe's vehicle diminished in size within the rearview mirror, the hefty one hesitated to slow down. But the lean one quickly interjected, Brother, do not disrupt the boss's plan. If we return now, the boss's efforts will be in vain, and we will all be trapped. Upon hearing this, the hefty one abandoned his thoughts of returning. Let us hurry and wait for the boss ahead. Once Xinghe's vehicle came to a gradual halt, the surrounding mutated sparrows swarmed in, incessantly pecking at his car, while he remained oblivious to their antics inside. Humph, you think you can take advantage of me? Just because the tiger is silent, you presume I am a sickly cat. Big Orange, stay in the car. With that, metallic armor enveloped Xinghe's body, and he forcefully flung open the door, kicking a mutated sparrow attempting to enter his vehicle. The moment it was struck, the sparrow lost consciousness. Ding! Killed a mutated sparrow. Gaining 2 energy points, the system announced. The mutated sparrows outside, upon noticing Xinghe's emergence, diverted their attention entirely toward him, launching themselves at him en masse. The nanoalloy steel blade danced swiftly, and the mutated sparrows fell like dumplings into boiling water, plummeting to the ground. Their attacks left no mark on the armored suit. Xinghe's decision to remain was not without reason. Firstly, his vehicle had been reinforced and was impervious to the sparrows' assault. Secondly, clad in the alloy armor, their attacks were but a mere tickle to him, transforming the encounter into a one-sided battle. Soon, a thick layer of corpses accumulated, and the once numerous sparrows in the air began to dwindle. It was only then that the remaining sparrows grasped fear. One chose to flee, taking to the skies. And once one fled, the others followed suit, ultimately escaping. Chapter 23. Learning the Taiji sword technique well, you run fast. Xinghe mused silently. Shaking the blood from his nanoalloy steel blade, he crouched down to search for crystal cores. Not here. Not this one either. No way. They can't all be gone. After dissecting several mutated sparrows, Xinghe confirmed that none possessed crystal cores. System, what is going on? Why do these mutated sparrows lack crystal cores? Damn it. I have worked hard for nothing. After all this killing, not a single core to be found. Each only grants 2 energy points, which is less than what I would gain from a few zombies. In his frustration, he kicked a barely alive mutated sparrow away. The mutated sparrow soared into the distance, ultimately landing motionless beyond the highway guardrail, lifeless beyond revival. Host, these mutated sparrows have not yet reached the first level of evolution. The energy within them is insufficient to coalesce into crystal nuclei, hence they lack such cores. Ah, I see. It makes sense. The capabilities of these mutated sparrows are indeed rather lacking, primarily due to their sheer numbers. Were it not for the presence of my alloy battle armor, ordinary survivors would find them quite formidable. However, I stand invincible. With no crystal cores in sight, there was little reason to linger, lest those creatures summon their reinforcements, which would prove to be an unbearable nuisance. He swiftly entered his vehicle and departed, disregarding the need to consider whether the others could keep up. With the accelerator pressed firmly, Xinghe propelled the vehicle to a speed of 300 kilometers per hour, the scenery outside blurring past him. After approximately 10 minutes, he began to notice a plethora of abandoned vehicles lining the road and gradually reduced his speed. Observing the road signs, he noted that they were nearing the toll station. Upon arriving at the Blue State East toll station, he discovered that the vehicle of his companions was already parked there. Boss, you finally made it. We were about to head back to search for you, exclaimed the chubby one with palpable excitement. Not to worry, just a bunch of insignificant sparrows. I made short work of them, Xinghe replied. That's a relief. So, shall we continue our journey? The chubby one inquired. At that moment, the sky had darkened considerably. Checking the time, Xinghe noted it was 8:10. Let us rest here. It is getting late, and traveling at night is perilous. Besides, everyone is weary after a long day. You and Shozi should inspect the vicinity and clear the zombies from the vehicle. Wang Yan, begin preparing dinner to provide everyone with a warm meal. Understood, boss. With that, the chubby one and Shozi commenced their search of the area, while Wang Yan and Xiaoya began to prepare the evening meal. And what about me? Chen Jun's voice chimed in. Brother Chen, do not fret. I have a few matters I wish to consult with you. Oh, I wonder what questions the young brother wishes to pose. I shall answer to the best of my ability, Chen Jun replied earnestly. It is this. I have observed your exquisite mastery of the Tai Chi sword. and you have claimed to be the heir of the Qin-style Tai Chi sword. This has inspired me to seek your guidance. I must admit, I possess strength without skill. My use of the sword is crude and relies solely on speed and brute force. Thus, I humbly request your instruction. Oh, the young brother is too kind. In this apocalyptic age, with zombies lurking everywhere, I am not one to adhere to rigid traditions. Since you seek knowledge, I shall willingly share what I know. Thank you, Brother Chun, Xinghe expressed with a respectful clasp of his fists. It is no trouble. I see your weapon is also a sword. It is perfectly fitting that I impart the teachings of the Tai Chi sword to you. After organizing his thoughts, Chen Jun continued, within the realm of Qin-style Tai Chi weaponry, there exist forms such as the single saber, double sabers, crescent blades, and the spring and autumn broadsword. My focus is on the single saber. In Qin-style single saber, one hand wields the blade while the other complements the techniques, appearing and disappearing. With movements that are unadorned yet profoundly practical, it allows for both offensive and defensive maneuvers, demanding a high level of proficiency in techniques such as dodging, chopping, slashing, hacking, intercepting, and thrusting. The elegance of Tai Chi saber techniques is embodied through rolling hands, body movements, and intricate wrapping motions around the head and waist. Chen Jun's narrative left Xinghe pondering deeply. Once he sensed that Xinghe had grasped the essence, Chen Jun picked up the Tai Chi saber and continued, Next, I shall teach you a few simple yet effective techniques. The first is the lifting cut. The blade moves upward from below to the front, with the force directed towards the tip of the blade, while the forearm rotates outward, palm facing upwards. The blade gliding along the right side of the body in an arched motion. After demonstrating, he encouraged Xinghe to try with his alloy steel saber. Chen Jun assessed his performance, remarking that he had captured the form but lacked the underlying intent. He then guided Xinghe's posture, and after several repetitions, he introduced the next technique. The sweeping cut, with the blade angled left or right, draw it back in an arched motion from front to side, maintaining a height between the chest and abdomen, with the force focused at the blade's edge. Following another demonstration, Xinghe attentively observed and practiced, his movements becoming increasingly attuned to the technique. Chen Jun was astonished by Xinghe's aptitude, noting that he had not anticipated such high comprehension. The lessons progressed to include the chopping cut and piercing cut, with Chen Jun explaining and demonstrating while Xinghe listened and mimicked. Gradually, Xinghe began to find his rhythm, and eventually, Chen Jun ceased his demonstrations, allowing Xinghe to practice independently. After days of combat, Xinghe had developed a certain familiarity with the blade. Under Chen Jun's guidance, he began to integrate the various techniques seamlessly, entering a state of enlightenment as he practiced with increasing fluidity. After completing 3 full repetitions, he finally paused. Chen Jun, impressed, reflected on how he had spent an entire month training under his master to reach the level Xinghe had attained in merely an hour. Truly, you are a martial prodigy, Chen Jun expressed in admiration. Brother Chen, you flatter me. Perhaps my recent encounters with zombies have heightened my sensitivity to the blade. Xinghe replied modestly. In truth, he believed his rapid understanding was largely attributed to his status as a level 2 evolved being, with physical abilities exceeding those of an ordinary person by more than double. Brother, it's time for dinner, came Wang Yan's voice. Let us go, Brother Chun. It's time to eat. Xinghe sheathed his alloy steel saber. All right. The hefty companions had already dealt with the nearby zombies. Wang Yan prepared instant noodles for everyone using bottled water, adding meat and vegetables to the mix. After a long day, they were all quite famished, and the prospect of enjoying a warm meal filled them with happiness. At that moment, the moon hung high in the night sky, with stars twinkling like distant gems. The group savored this hard-won tranquility. After the meal, Xinghe resumed practicing his sword techniques, much to the envy of the fat and thin companions who wielded firearms. Chen Jun then imparted to them the basics of gun handling and power techniques, which greatly benefited the duo. They immediately began to practice in the open space before the vehicle until past 11, when everyone prepared to rest. Chapter 24. A minor incident at the gas station. One person for 2 hours, taking turns on watch. I'll go first, Xinghe volunteered. All right, boss, we'll sleep first. Wake us when it's our turn, replied the thin one. The group retreated to the vehicle to rest, while Xinghe sat alone by the campfire, observing the flames dance playfully as he added more kindling. System, how much energy do I currently possess? Host, you currently have 313 energy points. Alas, only 313 points. When will I ever accumulate 10,000? This is quite a struggle, Xinghe lamented. Since becoming an evolved being, he no longer required extensive sleep, needing only 4 to 5 hours a day. It wasn't until 2 a.m. that he roused the hefty companion. Boss, hurry and get some sleep. I'll take over. The hefty one patted his chest in acknowledgement. All right, stay alert. Silence enveloped the night. As the first rays of dawn broke, Xinghe was already practicing his sword techniques by the roadside. Such diligence, young brother, practicing so early, Jun remarked as he awoke. Can't sleep, so I might as well practice. How about we spar, brother Chun? Your guidance would be invaluable. Sounds good, Jun replied, retrieving a Tai Chi sword from the vehicle. And the two began to spar in the morning light. Soon, the hefty companions awoke and gathered around, watching the exchange with the fascination reserved for a martial arts film. After some time, Jun sheathed his Tai Chi sword and praised Xinghe. Young brother, your progress is remarkable. I believe it won't be long before you master the Tai Chi sword techniques. All thanks to brother Chun for sharing his knowledge, Xinghe responded. Then turned to the spectators. All right, no more standing around. Let us have a quick breakfast before we set off. 20 minutes later, everyone returned to the vehicle, officially entering the Blue Qing Expressway. Along the way, they occasionally spotted abandoned vehicles, unquestionably the result of drivers transforming into zombies. The group navigated carefully around the wreckage. After more than 2 hours of travel, they encountered several overturned semi-trucks blocking their path, creating a formidable barrier on the road. What should we do, boss? It seems we can't get through, the hefty one said, disheartened at the sight of the vehicles piled on the road. Xinghe alighted from the vehicle and surveyed the surroundings for a considerable time, ultimately conceding with a nod of resignation that passage was indeed obstructed. He promptly examined the map to ascertain if there were alternative routes nearby. The rotund companion, having retrieved a map from the police station, soon pinpointed their current location. Boss, he remarked, there's a junction ahead where we can exit the highway and maneuver around this segment. After that, we can travel over 100 kilometers to return to the Lanqing Expressway. Xinghe scrutinized the map and found the stout man's assertion to be accurate. In that case, let us retrace our route and exit at that junction, he decided. Thus, Xinghe and his entourage drove back over 10 kilometers, exited the highway, and proceeded along the road. Along the way, numerous vehicles obstructed their path, necessitating that they disembark and collectively push the impediments to the roadside in order to continue their journey. After a series of such interruptions, they eventually covered another 30 kilometers. A modest gas station came into view, featuring 2 cars parked within its vicinity. As they approached, it became evident that survivors were present. This group consisted of 2 vehicles and 5 individuals, 2 men and 3 women. Among them were a young couple, the man clad in a sleeveless vest, adorned with tattoos, sporting a head of bleached hair styled in a mohawk, and brazenly embracing a woman while smoking a cigarette. The other pair was a middle-aged couple accompanied by a girl of approximately 15 or 16 years. The 2 groups appeared unfamiliar with one another, maintaining a respectful distance while refueling their vehicles. At that moment, the middle-aged man noticed the young man with the cigarette and promptly cautioned him. Please refrain from smoking at the gas station. It's exceedingly dangerous. If an explosion were to occur, we would all be at risk. The young man, upon hearing the admonition, retorted with a curse. Who do you think you are to lecture me? The middle-aged man, taken aback by the insolence and feeling embarrassed in front of his wife and child, expressed his dismay. How ungrateful of you. I merely offered a warning for everyone's safety. And instead of gratitude, I receive insults. The young man spat on the ground and defiantly replied, Enough of your nonsense. If you keep talking, I swear I'll take you down. Just so you know, I've dispatched several zombies. The middle-aged man was about to respond when his wife quickly intervened, shaking her head vigorously. Let it go. Don't engage with him. We have Yaya here. We shouldn't frighten the child. The daughter chimed in. Yes, Dad. There's no need to argue. Let us finish fueling and leave. If they wish to court danger, so be it. Seeing his daughter's concern, the man huffed, but fell silent. The young man, overhearing their exchange, became incensed. What do you mean I want to die? He contemplated retrieving a machete from his vehicle, but just then, 3 more cars arrived at the gas station. Observing Xinghe and his companions, particularly their attire, he couldn't help but entertain ulterior motives. With a smile, he approached Xinghe and his group. Boss, I can tell that this fellow looks shifty. He is undoubtedly up to no good. The stout man beside him reminded. No need for concern. Let us first observe his intentions. With that, he fixed his gaze upon the yellow-haired individual approaching. Are you all soldiers? The yellow-haired man inquired as he drew near. What is the matter? Xinghe casually replied, neither affirming nor denying the accusation. Seeing that Xinghe did not refute his assumption, the yellow-haired man took it as confirmation. We have little food as we fled from the zombies, and this desolate gas station offers no provisions. Now we are starving. Shouldn't you soldiers provide us with some food? The stout man could not help but chuckle at the audacity of the request. How shameless, to demand food so brazenly. I have never encountered such unmitigated gall. Forgive me, but we are not soldiers, nor do we have any obligation to provide you with sustenance, the stout man retorted, infuriating the yellow-haired individual. He had already convinced himself that Xinghe and his companions were indeed soldiers, and their denial of being military personnel, simply to evade sharing food, drove him to the brink of irrationality. He made to approach the vehicle to search for provisions himself. Suddenly, with a resounding thud, the yellow-haired man was launched backward, landing on the ground, clutching his abdomen in a fetal position, his complexion ashen. A young woman nearby hurried over to check on him, shouting at Xinghe, "You soldiers refuse to provide food, but how dare you strike him?" Xinghe was rendered speechless. At that moment, a large orange cat leapt from the vehicle. Its sizable head turned towards the woman. Startled by the abrupt appearance of the cat, she fell silent, though her eyes still glinted with fury. Meanwhile, the yellow-haired man, now with his head bowed, harbored resentment in his gaze. Xinghe, oblivious to these exchanges, or indifferent even if he had witnessed them, regarded them as mere commoners. Chapter 25. The mutated wild boar. Ignoring the yellow-haired man and the woman, he drove past them into the gas station. Upon disembarking, Xinghe instructed his companions, "Let us rest here for lunch. Stout man, you and your partner fill the tank. Brother Chun and I will scout the vicinity." "Understood, boss." "Come on, Brother Chun. Let us see what's nearby," he suggested, contemplating a reconnaissance for potential safety hazards. "All right, let us go." With that, the two departed. While the yellow-haired duo had returned to their vehicle, the yellow-haired man felt somewhat better, though his abdomen still throbbed painfully, as if his insides had been severely damaged. Had Xinghe exerted more force, he might have met a far graver fate. "What shall we do now, dog brother?" the woman inquired, using the nickname the yellow-haired man had adopted during his time on the streets. Gasping for breath, he replied, "Let me recover a moment. That scoundrel. I will surely avenge this grievance." Meanwhile, the previous pair of middle-aged individuals and the girl gathered together, engaged in hushed conversation. After a while, Xinghe and Chun returned. The middle-aged man hurried over, perceiving that Xinghe seemed to be the leader of the group. He addressed Xinghe, "Sir, do you have any surplus food? Could you spare us some? My family of 3 hasn't eaten anything for an entire day, and we have no water left. We are truly on the verge of collapse." As he spoke, tears nearly welled up in his eyes. Sighing, he continued, "Life is hard for everyone. Xinghe, let us share some food with them. Who doesn't have their own struggles?" Chun, witnessing the man's plight, felt a surge of compassion. Indeed, without needing to be prompted, I was already considering helping them. In this apocalyptic world, we should lend a hand wherever we can. "Fatty, please give this gentleman some food and water." "Understood, boss." Fatty and Skinny bowed their heads, at a loss for words, occasionally glancing at the little girl nearby. And upon hearing Xinghe's instruction, they immediately complied. They quickly retrieved 2 days' worth of food for 3 people from the vehicle and handed it to the man. Thank you so much," the man exclaimed, overwhelmed with gratitude. "It's nothing," Xinghe replied. As the man departed, clutching the food, Chun began to worry. He pondered about his wife and child, wondering if they were safe and whether their food supplies would last. "Don't worry, Brother Chun. You've told them to stay put, right? As long as they remain at home, they can endure for quite some time," Skinny reassured him. Shortly after the apocalypse began, all mobile phones lost signal, and the internet connectivity was interrupted, making it impossible to contact family members, thus amplifying their worries about their loved ones' situations. Xinghe, too, was concerned about Xiaowaner. He had advised her to stock up on food and stay indoors, but he had no idea how she was faring now. "All right, Brother Chun. Worrying won't help us now. Our priority is to hasten our journey to Xinghe City to rescue them," Xinghe said, both to Chun and himself. No longer dwelling on these matters, they all began to have their lunch. The aroma of the food wafted over to the yellow-haired man, whose stomach audibly protested. And the woman was not in a better state. "How infuriating. Why do they get food while we don't?" Yellow-haired man fumed, pounding the steering wheel, inadvertently pressing the horn, which blared loudly at the gas station. The crowd at the gas station turned to look, recognizing it was Yellow-haired's vehicle, but chose to ignore it. Unbeknownst to them, the blaring horn had attracted an unexpected visitor. Moments later, an urgent need to relieve himself struck Yellow-haired, prompting him to exit the car and venture into the nearby thicket. He walked a distance until he reached a spot out of sight from the gas station before unzipping his pants and relieving himself. Just as Huang Mao was feeling clever, a colossal figure suddenly appeared before him. He slowly raised his head, and his eyes fell upon an enormous head adorned with 2 long tusks, resembling that of a wild boar. However, he quickly realized he had never encountered such a gigantic wild boar before. Frightened, Huang Mao could not even pull up his zipper and turned to flee, shouting, "Help! There's a wild boar." Initially, the crowd at the gas station paid little heed. After all, it was merely a wild boar, and with so many people around, armed as they were, what was there to fear? Yet, as Huang Mao burst from the woods, a massive figure followed closely behind him, standing 2 meters tall and resembling a wild boar. Its every stride causing the ground of the gas station to tremble. The onlookers, including Fatty, quickly discerned that this was a mutated wild boar. The mutated boar relentlessly pursued Huang Mao, who cleverly circled around his car. It appeared that the boar was not particularly intelligent, as it followed Huang Mao in circles, unable to catch him. However, a woman inside the car screamed in terror, which instantly attracted the boar's attention. Its enormous tusks violently rammed into the vehicle, flipping the small car, which weighed over a ton, several times, and leaving the woman trapped beneath it, moaning in distress. "Xiaohong!" Huang Mao cried out. And this utterance once again drew the mutated boar's focus back to him. Startled, he glanced around, realizing there was nowhere to hide. Suddenly, he cast a vengeful look towards Xinghe and sprinted towards his convoy. "Oh my goodness, boss, this guy is truly despicable, luring the mutated boar towards us," Fatty exclaimed, cursing Huang Mao's actions. Exhausted, Huang Mao was soon overtaken by the mutated boar as he ran in a straight line. The boar charged from behind, its sharp tusks piercing through Huang Mao's body in an instant. With a violent toss, he was flung to the ground like a rag doll. On the ground, Huang Mao, still clinging to life, fixed his gaze on Xinghe, spitting blood and intermittently uttering, "You all are going to die, open fire. Don't let it reach us." Xinghe responded, but the scene that unfolded next caused him to close his eyes in disappointment. A number of Type 95 rifles fired simultaneously from Xinghe's direction, and before the mutated boar could reach them, it was already left bloodied and battered, collapsing to the ground. "Ha! Indeed, all fear stems from insufficient firepower." Fatty chuckled, nonchalantly blowing the smoke from his gun's barrel. "What the big brother said is true." Xinghe chimed in. Xinghe paid no mind to the two jesters and approached the carcass of the mutated boar. It was evident that the creature was not yet fully dead. Its formidable defenses were astonishing, as revealed by a property check showing 18,102, indicating it was on par with a mutated strength-type zombie. With a swift motion, Xinghe plunged a knife into the massive brain of the mutated boar, putting an end to its life. As far as I know, wild boars are gregarious creatures. Given that one has appeared here, it is likely that there is more than just this solitary specimen nearby. After unearthing the crystal core, Xinghe surmised, "Oh no, not just one." The portly and lean companions ceased their bravado. Just as they were about to inquire further, the ground began to tremble violently, and the two exchanged glances. Chapter 26. The mutant wild boar pack. The frequency of the tremors escalated ominously. "They are coming." The portly and lean companions maintained their formation, ensuring the safety of Wang Yin and Xiaoya, while Chun Dage took care to stay vigilant. With that, Xinghe donned his battle armor, the nanocomposite alloy glistening as he brandished his blade, positioning himself protectively before the group. "What is this? Battle armor?" Chen Jun's astonishment was beyond articulation. Xinghe's peculiar attire was, in fact, armor. Initially, he had assumed it to be mere eccentric clothing. Indeed, it is battle armor. "This is the boss's alloy suit. Impressive, isn't it?" the portly one exclaimed, his excitement making it seem as though he himself wore the armor. Chen Jun remained in a state of shock, suddenly recalling the lean companion's earlier remark. Could this armor be linked to special abilities? With a roar, several mutant wild boars burst forth from the thicket, revealing themselves to the onlookers. These creatures, drawn by the earlier gunfire, numbered 4 in total, 1 large and 3 small. The large boar was significantly larger than the one previously slain, while the smaller ones were merely half its size. Observing the situation, the portly one deduced that these mutant wild boars were likely a family unit. The larger male was a boar, while the previously encountered specimen had been a sow, with the 3 smaller ones being piglets. Upon spotting their fallen companion, the mutant boar's eyes glowed crimson with fury. With a thunderous roar, they charged at Xinghe, who stood at the forefront. Attributes, 19,112, even stronger than the previous one, Xinghe thought as he braced himself for the oncoming assault. As the mutant boar barreled towards him, he swung his nanocomposite steel blade, striking its tusks. The force of the charge caused Xinghe to stagger back several paces. His blade held firmly in one hand while the other pressed against the back of the weapon, resulting in a deadlock. At that moment, the remaining 3 mutant wild boars surged forward. Realizing the precariousness of the situation, Chun Jun declared, "I'm coming to help," and dashed into battle wielding his Tai Chi sword. Simultaneously, Daju leaped down from the vehicle's roof and rushed towards the fray. Wang Yin and the others took refuge behind a pillar, while the portly and lean companions stood guard, vigilantly scanning their surroundings and occasionally glancing at the battlefield. As Chun Jun and Daju engaged in combat, they intercepted one of the mutant wild boars. Meanwhile, another boar turned its attention towards a family of 3 huddled in the corner, prompting them to hastily dive into their vehicle, desperate to start the engine and escape. As a result, after being rammed a few times by the mutated wild boar, the car remained unscathed, leaving the three individuals inside trembling with fear, yet too apprehensive to venture outside. Fortunately, the creature, lacking in intelligence, was merely pushing against the front of the vehicle, unable to breach its defenses for the time being. Meanwhile, on Xinghe's end, after a brief stalemate with the mutated wild boar, he suddenly surged forward, maintaining a safe distance between them. With a personal strength of 20 points compared to the boar's 19, they were evenly matched. However, his speed far exceeded that of the beast, rendering a direct confrontation unnecessary. With this in mind, as the boar charged once more, Xinghe pushed off the ground, swiftly maneuvering to the left by a meter. He executed a swift upward slash, leaving a gash along the creature's neck. As the boar turned, he followed up with a diagonal strike, inflicting another wound, causing blood to flow. Thus, the mutated wild boar became a rather unfortunate sparring partner for Xinghe. While he honed his blade techniques, the rotund figure and Xinghe engaged with two other wild boars. Xinghe, having trained in martial arts for years, possessed physical prowess that far surpassed the average person. Utilizing his Tai Chi sword with impeccable precision, he faced off against an adolescent mutated wild boar without any pressure, managing to inflict several injuries in mere moments. However, the boar's tough hide, compounded by its mutated state, meant that while it sustained wounds, they were superficial and insufficient to diminish its fighting spirit. On the other hand, the large orange cat fared much better, its speed allowing it to easily outmaneuver the sluggish wild boar. In just a few leaps, it had blinded the creature in one eye, severely impairing its sense of direction, leaving it helpless against the agile feline. With the cat's sharp claws, it was merely a matter of time before the boar met its demise. Suddenly, the wild boar attacking the middle-aged man's family seemed to exhibit a semblance of intelligence. Turning to ram the car door. "No, don't eat us. Please, don't eat us." The mother and daughter screamed in terror. "Hurry, think of something," the husband urged, equally frightened. "Help us. Officer, please." Noticing the imminent danger facing the family, Xinghe decided to disengage from his own adversary. As the boar charged, he leapt onto its back, driving his nanoalloy steel knife forcefully into the creature's ear. The blade pierced through its brain, emerging from the other side. The boar, propelled by inertia, took a few more steps before collapsing to the ground. With a notification echoing in his mind, "Kill confirmed. One level 1 mutated wild boar." Gaining 250 energy, Xinghe disregarded the system's message, leaping down and hastening towards the family. Just then, with a violent thrust, the boar pierced the car door, sending it flying. With the last line of defense shattered, the girl, Yaya, found herself in grave danger. The little girl, trembling in fear, cried out, "Please don't eat me. I don't want to die." Tears streamed down her face as she recoiled deeper into the safety of her mother's embrace, both of them huddled in the back seat, uncertain of what to do. As the mutated wild boar charged forward, they braced themselves for the inevitable. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the air. With a swift kick, Xinghe sent the charging beast sprawling against a pillar, violently denting its surface. The creature convulsed on the ground, attempting to rise again, only to find a foot pressing down firmly on its head, followed by a steel blade plunging into its skull. After effortlessly dispatching the small mutant boar, Xinghe returned to assist Xinghe in neutralizing another beast. Upon glancing over at Daju, he noted that the latter had also concluded his battle, extracting the crystal cores from the fallen, mutated wild boars. "Thank you, officer, for saving us." A middle-aged man and his family approached Xinghe, expressing their gratitude. "It was nothing, just a small effort." Xinghe waved dismissively. "Brother Xinghe, what are these things you've extracted?" Xinghe inquired, pointing at the crystal core in Xinghe's hand. "This is a crystal core. Both zombies and mutated creatures possess one in their brains. Absorbing its energy can enhance one's physical abilities, transforming them into a strengthened being," Xinghe explained. Understanding dawned on Xinghe. It seemed Xinghe had grown stronger through these very cores. "Here, take this." Xinghe offered a slightly smaller crystal core to Xinghe. As Xinghe hesitated, Xinghe promptly pressed it into his hand. "Thank you, brother Xinghe," Xinghe exclaimed. "Just swallow it to absorb the energy," Xinghe instructed. At that moment, the portly companion and his group approached. "Boss, is everything taken care of?" the portly man asked eagerly. "Yes, it's all resolved. Pack up, we need to leave quickly. The commotion here might attract other dangers," Xinghe replied. "Understood, boss," the portly man responded. "Officer, could you take us with you? Our vehicle has broken down and won't start," the middle-aged man pleaded. "Well, you can squeeze into the cars with the portly and thin fellows," Xinghe suggested. "Thank you, officer, thank you." The middle-aged family sighed in relief, grateful for Xinghe's assistance. Without transportation, they would have been at a loss for how to escape. Soon, the convoy departed from the gas station. The scent of blood lingered in the air, soon attracting a swarm of unwelcome guests, mutated sparrows. They appeared to be active in the area, descending en masse upon the corpses of the mutated wild boars, leaving behind only a few skeletal remains, including that of the yellow-feathered creature. The convoy moved slowly along the highway, occasionally encountering abandoned vehicles, and their speed barely improved. After traveling approximately 20 to 30 kilometers, a bus abruptly blocked the road. As usual, everyone prepared to disembark and move the vehicle, when suddenly, 5 or 6 burly men emerged from both sides of the road, some brandishing firearms, swiftly surrounding the convoy. In total, there were 7 individuals, 2 held handguns, while the others wielded batons and knives. What in the world is happening, boss? Are we encountering bandits? The hefty man looked bewildered. These aren't bandits, replied another. I noticed on the map that there's a labor reform prison nearby, called Launching Prison. Judging by their attire, they appear to be inmates. Just as they continued their conversation, one of the armed men began to shout, "Everyone get out of the vehicle, or I'll start shooting." The others began to pound on the cars with their weapons. When they saw no movement from within, the one wielding a knife slashed it against Xinghe's vehicle. "Did you hear that? Hurry up and get out. I'll go first. You all assess the situation," Xinghe instructed through the intercom. As someone exited the vehicle, the leader approached. This man had a crew cut and wore a labor reform uniform. He immediately attempted to shove Xinghe, demanding, "Why are you taking so long? Don't try any tricks, kid, or I'll kill you." Upon pushing Xinghe, the crew cut man's expression changed. He felt as though he was pushing against a wall. Could he be a fighter? He thought. Even if he is, I have a gun. Get everyone out of the vehicle quickly, or I'll shoot you all, he threatened, shaking his handgun and aiming it at Xinghe. Are you sure about that? Xinghe replied. Enough with the chatter. Hurry up. The crew cut man grew impatient. Everyone get out, shouted the hefty man. As soon as the words left his mouth, the hefty man and the others emerged, armed with Type 95 rifles. The men guarding the vehicle, upon seeing the long barrels pointed at their heads, hastily discarded their weapons and raised their hands in surrender, realizing these individuals were clad in combat uniforms. The crew cut man stepped back, trembling with panic. Xinghe observed him with a bemused smile. What do you have to say now? Suddenly, a fierce glint appeared in the crew cut man's eyes, and he raised his gun to fire at Xinghe, unaware that every move was under Xinghe's scrutiny. Before he could pull the trigger, Xinghe lunged forward, snatching the handgun from his grip and delivering a swift kick that sent him sprawling. With a cry of agony, the crew cut man rolled on the ground, clutching his abdomen as he looked up at Xinghe. How are you so fast? Could it be? Could it be what? Xinghe inquired, intrigued. Are you also an ability user? He gasped, catching his breath. An ability user? Have you encountered other superhumans? Why should I tell you? The man with the buzz cut remained obstinate. Xinghe brandished a nano-alloy steel knife and approached him. Daeju, come here. Upon hearing Xinghe's call, Daeju leapt from the vehicle and dashed between the two. The buzz-cut man was startled by the sudden appearance of such a large cat, exclaiming, "If you don't speak, I'll have Daeju crush your skull." Heeding Xinghe's command, Daeju slowly approached the buzz-cut man, who hastily retreated, hands raised. I'll talk. Speak. Our boss, Lei Jun, is a superhuman. When the zombies appeared, chaos erupted in the prison. Lei Jun suddenly manifested the ability to conjure lightning, effortlessly demolishing the prison gates and escaping. Many of the guards turned into zombies, and after dispatching them, he seized their firearms and liberated us all. At that time, many were confined in their cells, so the zombies were swiftly eradicated. Now, the entire prison is under Lei Jun's command. Everyone follows his orders. And we were dispatched to ambush passing vehicles and bring the seized supplies back to the prison. After the buzz-cut man's explanation, Xinghe grasped the situation's intricacies, surmising that Lei Jun must be a lightning-type evolved being, though his other abilities remained unknown. Boss, how should we deal with these people? The portly companions had already bound the group and tossed them into the front of the bus. I intend to visit the Blueching prison. Casting a glance at the buzz-cut man lying half-prostrate on the ground, he plunged the knife into his chest. The buzz-cut man's eyes widened in disbelief, blood foaming at his lips. He had not anticipated Xinghe's swift execution. You harbored murderous intent against me and still wish to live? How naive. Brother Xinghe, isn't it unsafe for you to go alone? Perhaps I should accompany you. Jun expressed his concerns. It's fine, Brother Chun. I possess alloy armor. Ordinary individuals cannot harm me. You all stay here and wait for me. Understood, boss. Stay safe and inform us immediately of any developments. With that, he raised his firearm as he descended from the road and walked along a narrow path for about 5 minutes, discovering a road that led into the mountains. Upon consulting his map, he realized that following this road for approximately 2 kilometers would bring him to the Blueching prison. This facility, located at the border of Lianzhou and Qingshui City, had been named accordingly and boasted over 30 years of history. The prison was constructed against the mountains, with steep cliffs at the back, effectively deterring any escape attempts. Fleeing through the front gate was nearly impossible. In over 30 years, no inmate had managed to escape. When Lei Jun was incarcerated there, he, like the others, had lost all hope of release. The inmates faced life sentences or death row, with even the lightest sentences requiring at least 20 years of confinement. Lei Jun discovered his wife's infidelity, leading him to brutally murder the unfaithful couple, resulting in his imprisonment. He was sentenced to death with a 2-month reprieve. Unexpectedly, the apocalypse ensued, transforming most prison guards into zombies. To his astonishment, he realized that his hands could unleash lightning, enabling him to effortlessly destroy the gates. He eliminated the zombified guards, released the incarcerated criminals, and, alongside them, cleared the prison of the undead. He then subdued the remaining guards, establishing himself as the prison's ruler, indulging in food and women at his leisure. Initially, he believed this existence could persist indefinitely. However, the limited food supply soon became apparent when his subordinates alerted him to the dwindling resources. Prompted by this revelation, he dispatched individuals to forage for sustenance, while a short-haired man was tasked with intercepting passing vehicles on the road. "Boss, trouble. A young man has arrived outside the prison and has already injured several of our brothers." A subordinate rushed in, panic-stricken. "What is it? Why the fuss? Has your mother died?" Lei Jun replied, preoccupied with a woman, her sun-kissed skin and short hair framing eyes brimming with tears of humiliation. "Boss, you must listen. This young man is incredibly formidable. None of our brothers stand a chance against him. Are you all fools? What are our guns for? No matter how powerful he is, he must fear bullets," he retorted, while brazenly caressing the woman beside him. "Boss, you can't dismiss this. That fellow seems to wear some kind of armor that renders bullets ineffective," the subordinate continued. Realizing something was amiss, Lei Jun felt compelled to investigate. "Lead the way. I must see who dares to challenge us." He disregarded the woman's need to dress and followed the subordinate outside. Meanwhile, Xinghe grew intrigued upon hearing that their leader possessed supernatural abilities. Initially indifferent, he changed his mind upon receiving a notification from the system host. Eliminating an ability user will yield substantial energy, and the user possesses a crystal core, providing a 70% chance of acquiring their abilities post-absorption. Stunned by the prospect of gaining powers, Xinghe resolved to confront the murderer, feeling no moral qualms about the act. Upon arriving at the prison, he pondered how to infiltrate, only to find that the main entrance was the sole access point. Consequently, he encountered the scene described by the subordinate, as the inmates, feeling threatened by his presence, prepared to confront him. "Who do you think you are? Our boss is not someone you can just meet at will. Be wise and leave now, or else we will deal with you." The bald leader brandished a machete, directing it menacingly at Xinghe. "Summon your boss," he demanded. "I have no desire to waste words with you. You are no match for me." "Hey, it seems you have a death wish." With that, the bald man swung the machete towards Xinghe. These men were desperate criminals, each having blood on their hands. However, before he could strike, Xinghe retaliated with a swift kick, sending the weapon back and causing the bald man to break into a sweat. Turning to the group of prisoners behind him, he shouted, "Brothers, charge together and take this guy down. Teach him a lesson." Armed with knives and clubs, the gang rushed at Xinghe. Cries of pain and anguish soon filled the air. Oh, my face, my stomach, my legs." The bald man gasped in astonishment. "This kid is extraordinary. His fighting prowess is astounding. Hurry, call your boss. My time is limited." Seeing Xinghe's audacity, he drew a handgun, aiming it at him. "You may be strong, but I have a gun. Kneel and apologize, or I will end you with a single shot." Xinghe remained silent, advancing towards him. "Damn it, step any closer, and I'll fire." Bang. As Xinghe continued his approach, the bald man fired without hesitation. To his shock, Xinghe was enveloped in a layer of black alloy armor. The bullets merely sparked upon impact, leaving no mark. Bang, bang, bang. The bald man, undeterred, fired several more shots, but they were futile. Stunned, he watched as Xinghe drew nearer. With a swift motion, Xinghe grasped his throat. The bald man's voice emerged as a raspy whisper. His eyes filled with terror. "I told you to call your boss. How dare you fire at me?" A glint of ferocity flashed in Xinghe's eyes. With a sickening crack, he twisted the bald man's neck and threw him to the ground. The surrounding onlookers were too frightened to make a sound. "You, go summon your boss," Xinghe commanded a quivering man on the ground. "Why yes, I'm going now." The man scrambled to his feet, hastily making his way into the prison. The others gazed enviously at him, relieved he could escape the terrifying youth. He was impervious to bullets and could crush the bald man with a single hand. A veritable monster. They wondered if their boss could contend with him. Thus, the crowd watched Xinghe apprehensively, while he pondered deeply. At that moment, he was assessing the intelligence of his armor, inquiring whether it had lightning resistance. The system responded that the armor could withstand up to 100,000 volts, meaning that typical lightning strikes would pose no significant threat to it. He pondered that if the armor's resistance to lightning was inadequate, he might need to reconsider his intention to eliminate Lei Jun. Should he be struck by Lei Jun's electric power and lose his ability to resist, it could lead to disastrous consequences. Fortunately, the armor possessed a formidable capability to withstand lightning strikes, rated at a formidable 100,000 volts. He found it hard to believe that a newly minted ability user could harness energy exceeding that threshold. As Xinghe contemplated, the man who had rushed in earlier emerged with Lei Jun in tow. Upon seeing Xinghe clad in armor, Lei Jun was taken aback. Although he had heard his subordinates extol Xinghe's prowess, he remained unconvinced. After all, he wielded formidable lightning abilities. What could a mere suit of armor achieve against such power? "Hey, are you the one looking for me? How did you come to know my name?" Lei Jun inquired, a look of confusion crossing his face. Your underlings blocked our passage on the highway, leading us straight to you. How could I not know your name?" Xinghe retorted. Understanding dawned on Lei Jun. His subordinates had encountered an immovable obstacle, and now Xinghe had come to confront him. I see. Brother. It's all a misunderstanding. I had no choice. A large group of brothers was waiting for a meal, so I resorted to this desperate measure. Lei Jun laughed heartily, adopting a facade of a congenial person. Noticing Xinghe's youth, he sought to placate him, hoping to lower his guard. Once close enough, he intended to eliminate him with his lightning abilities. However, with the distance still at 50 meters, he was uncertain if his attack could reach Xinghe. If he failed and Xinghe escaped, it would spell trouble. There is no misunderstanding. Since it was your arrangement, you must bear the consequences. What do you mean? Young brother? Are you seeking an explanation from Lei Jun? As they spoke, the distance between them shrank to 30 meters. At this proximity, Xinghe utilized his attribute detection to assess Lei Jun's abilities. A level 1 lightning ability user, 141,416, capable of unleashing devastating bolts of lightning from both hands. Easily capable of penetrating 20 millimeters of steel. Upon reading this assessment, Xinghe felt reassured. The threat was not as formidable as he had anticipated. While generally formidable, it was not insurmountable, especially with his alloy armor. The gap between them dwindled to 10 meters, and Lei Jun, no longer hesitating, raised his hands, unleashing 2 bolts of lightning. Chapter 29. The demise of Lei Jun. A cacophony of crackling sounds erupted as 2 lightning bolts, each as thick as an arm, surged toward Xinghe. Those nearby could feel their hair and body hairs standing on end. Xinghe had been vigilant, closely observing Lei Jun's every movement. As he saw him suddenly raise his hands, he instinctively prepared to evade. The moment the lightning illuminated the air, he had already leaped away from his original position. In the very next second, the 2 bolts struck the ground where he had just stood, creating a substantial crater. Xinghe could not help but gasp in astonishment. The young man stood in awe, despite the combat armor's intelligence informing him that it could withstand 100,000 volts of electricity. Witnessing the sheer destructive power of the lightning left him astonished. If that bolt were to strike him directly, even as a level 2 evolved entity, he would likely suffer severe injuries. Indeed, the prowess of lightning abilities should not be underestimated. At that moment, Lei Jun was equally taken aback. How had this individual evaded his attack? The speed of the lightning was already remarkable. From the moment he unleashed it to the moment it struck the ground, no more than a second had elapsed, yet this person had managed to avoid his assault unscathed. Furrowing his brow, he began to concentrate. It appeared that this opponent would not be easily defeated. Xinghe's expression transitioned from initial surprise to uncontainable joy. The greater the strength of the lightning abilities, the more elated he felt. For there was a significant chance that absorbing Lei Jun's crystal core would awaken his own lightning powers. What are you smiling about? Lei Jun pondered, perplexed by Xinghe's grin. Did he believe victory was assured? No, he had merely recalled something delightful. Unable to tolerate Xinghe's relaxed demeanor any longer, Lei Jun seethed with indignation. How dare he underestimate him? Resolving this, he raised his hand and unleashed 2 bolts of lightning towards Xinghe once more. Yet, Xinghe effortlessly dodged them again, leaping toward him with remarkable agility. Alarmed, Lei Jun retreated, all the while continuing to release bursts of electricity. Each time lightning struck the ground, Xinghe seemed to anticipate the attack, evading it with uncanny precision. As Lei Jun's fear escalated, he wondered about the source of this individual's extraordinary speed. Was his ability related to swiftness? At last, the distance between them closed to 3 meters. Xinghe brandished a nanoalloy steel blade, poised to deliver a fatal blow to Lei Jun's neck. With a sharp crackle, a shield of electricity materialized between them, leaving Xinghe astonished. The blade struck the shield, sending tingles through his hand. Lei Jun had once again surprised him. This lightning could also serve as a defense. Retracting his blade, Xinghe struck the electric barrier with renewed force, eager to test its resilience. Meanwhile, trapped behind the shield, Lei Jun lamented his predicament. What kind of monster was this? Not only was his speed astonishing, but his strength was also formidable. Each strike of the nanoalloy steel blade against his shield drained a significant amount of his energy. If this continued, he would not be able to sustain himself for long. In desperation, he shouted to his subordinates, "What are you all staring at? Hurry and help. Shoot that guy dead." His subordinates, having watched in stunned silence, were bewildered. This young man had dominated their leader throughout the encounter, and it seemed that Lei Jun had not landed a single blow on him. Upon hearing their leader's command, they hesitated, uncertain whether to open fire. After all, this opponent showed no fear of bullets, yet failing to act might invite Lei Jun's wrath. After a fleeting moment of contemplation, one of the individuals opened fire, the sound of gunshots erupting in succession as others followed suit. Bullets fell upon Xinghe's battle armor like raindrops, producing only the resonant clang of metal against metal, with no other discernible alteration. It was only then that Lei Jun recalled his subordinate's earlier remark about the young man's attire being bulletproof. A wave of frustration surged within him. How could one possibly contend against such an adversary? As Xinghe wielded his weapon, the lightning shield flickered incessantly, its integrity waning. One could faintly discern the pallor of Lei Jun's complexion, likely a result of energy depletion. "Stop. I concede. Spare my life. I am willing to serve you faithfully. As you can see, my abilities are formidable. I could be your enforcer." Lei Jun, now fearful, realized his energy reserves were nearly exhausted. A few more strikes from Xinghe, and the lightning shield would shatter. "Apologies, but I have no need for a subordinate." With a resounding crack, the lightning shield was obliterated, and Lei Jun's energy was entirely spent, causing him to collapse to the ground. In one swift motion, Xinghe severed Lei Jun's head from his body. "Ding! You have slain a level 1 lightning ability user, earning 500 energy points." After retrieving Lei Jun's crystal core, Xinghe departed nonchalantly. The surrounding subordinates exchanged glances, and after a brief silence, one ventured to ask, "What shall we do now? What else can we do?" With Lei Jun dead, and this young man seemingly uninterested in the prison, "It appears we shall have the final say," remarked another man of some standing. The others gathered around him, eager to curry favor, while Lei Jun's corpse lay forgotten on the ground. On the journey back, Xinghe struggled to suppress his desire to absorb the lightning crystal core immediately. No, he decided. He would wait until they returned to the convoy. Who knew what might transpire upon absorption? If he became incapacitated, he could easily fall prey to lurking zombies or mutated beasts, leaving him in utter despair. He scrutinized the crystal core in his hand. Unlike ordinary ones, this core emanated a faint light of electricity, flickering within its depths. After Xinghe's departure, the others sought to maneuver the bus out of the way. Fortunately, the bus was still operational, and they managed to park it by the roadside before tossing several bound prisoners inside. Then the rotund man and his lean companion settled down to converse. "Brother, what do you think the boss went to the prison for?" the lean man inquired, tossing a cigarette to the rotund one and lighting both their smokes. "Who knows? But I suspect it has something to do with that ability user, Lei Jun." The moment the topic arose, I could see our leader's interest piqued. The rotund man inhaled deeply. "I wonder how these ability users come to be, and what about our leader's power?" "Unclear. But it is undeniable that our leader's abilities are indeed formidable. I wonder how strong that Lei Jun truly was." The stout man flicked the ash from his cigarette and continued, "If only we possessed special abilities." He then playfully slapped the thin man's head, saying, "What a dreamer. It's far more reliable to slay zombies and absorb their cores to enhance our physique." "Ouch. You're right, brother," the thin man replied, rubbing his head. As the sun began to set, a figure emerged from the distance, clad in battle armor that glimmered with a metallic sheen in the fading light. "Boss is back," the crowd exclaimed, rising to their feet as they watched the young man approach. Chapter 30, Lightning Ability Boss, where have you been? The thin man inquired with curiosity. "I dealt with that Thunder Army." "Wow, so quickly? Was that Thunder Army really that weak?" the stout man remarked, astonished. No. That Thunder Army was quite formidable, possessing a powerful lightning ability. 10 of you combined would not stand a chance," Xinghe jested, teasing the stout man. "Boss, that's not fair. You can describe it, but don't drag me into it," the stout man responded, covering his face in exasperation. "Ha, you crack me up." The others joined in laughter. After a while, as the laughter subsided, Xinghe spoke up. "Given the time, it seems we cannot leave tonight. Let's stay here for the night. I need to attend to some matters in the car, so please refrain from disturbing me." "Understood, boss. We'll ensure no one bothers you," the thin man assured. Stifling his laughter, Why is the boss so mysterious today? The stout man murmured quietly to himself. Once back in the car, Xinghe eagerly retrieved a crystal core. System. Absorb the energy from the crystal core. Understood, host. Energy absorption in progress. This time was different from the past. The crystal core levitated in the air, and a stream of pure energy flowed from it into Xinghe's brow, lasting for about 10 seconds. When Xinghe opened his eyes again, a flicker of lightning coursed through his irises. How extraordinary. I've mastered the lightning ability directly, with a 70% success rate. Thankfully, my luck holds. As he spoke, a ball of lightning materialized in his palm, dancing as if alive. Yet, Xinghe understood it was merely under his control. He was further delighted to discover his attributes had improved. Originally at 202,021, it now stood at 232,325. His strength and speed each increased by 3 points, while his mental power surged by 4 points. Next came the exploration of this lightning ability. The confines of the car were too small. It was evident he needed to venture outside. Upon stepping outside, he noticed the stout and thin men practicing their shooting skills. It appeared these two had been inspired and were now fervently seeking to grow stronger. Choosing not to interrupt them, he ventured deeper into the woods. Arriving before a large tree, Xinghe concentrated the lightning in his palm and hurled it at the tree. Upon impact, a significant dent appeared, demonstrating a power that was neither too great nor too small. He then gathered another lightning sphere in his palm, taking a bit longer to form it. Feeling the energy become increasingly volatile, he threw it, and indeed, its power had greatly intensified. The colossal trunk was abruptly severed in half, with the remaining section teetering precariously. It appeared that the longer the energy was concentrated, the greater its power. This time, Xinghe continuously gathered energy, compressing the thunderball in his palm, which began to spiral out of control. Sensing impending danger, he swiftly hurled it away. The thunderball soared through the air, effortlessly piercing through 3 tree trunks before finally creating a crater in the 4th. He had been compressing the thunderball to its limits, and as he felt it nearing the brink of chaos, he had no choice but to release it. He was astonished by its immense power. He then recalled the thunder shield utilized by Lei Jun and instinctively began to mimic it. Extending his hands, bolts of lightning surged forth, gradually coalescing into a shield of electric energy before him. This shield could continuously replenish its electric energy, thereby enhancing its defensive capabilities. Following this, Xinghe experimented further, eager to discover what would occur if lightning enveloped other objects or his own body. Ultimately, he made a remarkable discovery. Lightning could adhere to a nanocomposite steel blade, allowing it to inflict additional electric damage during combat and briefly incapacitate enemies. Moreover, when he attached lightning to his feet, he felt a significant increase in agility, enhancing his speed by approximately 20%. However, he was temporarily unable to control the lightning in other areas. In summary, this electric ability provided both offensive and defensive advantages, along with supportive effects, truly remarkable. Absorbing this electric power compensated for Xinghe's lack of ranged attacks. After thoroughly testing its capabilities, he suddenly experienced a wave of dizziness, likely due to excessive energy expenditure. He realized that this energy was closely linked to his mental strength. The stronger his mind, the more energy he could harness and the more adeptly he could control it. With continued enhancement of his physical constitution and mental acuity, this electric ability would undoubtedly grow stronger, leaving him curious about the transformations that lay ahead. Recognizing the need to cease training, as the depletion of mental energy was causing a dull ache in his head, he returned to the vehicle to rest. 2 hours later, Xinghe opened his eyes to find that night had completely fallen outside. Glancing at the time, he noted it was already 8:30. A campfire illuminated the nearby clearing, where his companions were gathered, engaged in conversation. "Boss, you finally emerged. If you hadn't asked us not to disturb you, I would have come to get you." The chubby one inquired with concern. "I'm fine. Has everyone eaten?" Xinghe stretched his body, feeling rejuvenated. "No, boss, we've all been waiting for you." Wang Yin replied softly. "Then let us get cooking. Everyone must be hungry." With that, he retrieved the nanocomposite steel blade and began to practice in the clearing. With swift movements, slashes, cuts, strikes, and stabs, the blade sliced through the air, generating a continuous sound of cutting through the void. "Why do I feel like the boss's swordsmanship has become even more exquisite?" The thin one remarked with envy. "Really? I can't make sense of it." The chubby one scratched his head, lacking any natural talent for martial arts. The remarks made by the slender fellow were indeed astute. The swordsmanship of Brother Xinghe has undeniably advanced, and judging by the force of his strikes, his prowess appears to have escalated as well. Goodness gracious. The leader truly lives up to his title. He is exceptionally formidable. As the stout one was speaking, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his head. "Ouch! To think you would call me abnormal. Do you seek a beating?" Upon turning around, he discovered that Xinghe had appeared behind him without his notice. Subsequently, the stout one began to absent-mindedly rub his head while chuckling. Having retired early the previous night, the convoy set off at the crack of dawn, traveling along the highway for 50 kilometers before opting to take a brief respite in a roadside village. The convoy halted at the entrance of the village. "Leader, the slender fellow and I shall investigate the situation inside and procure some supplies," the stout one declared as he leapt from the vehicle, armed with a riot shield and a sidearm. "Very well. Proceed with caution and alert us immediately should anything arise." "Understood, leader." After dispatching a few wandering zombies at the village entrance, the duo ventured slowly into the village, which was modest in size and seemingly sparsely populated. Meanwhile, Xinghe and the others sought refuge from the blazing sun beneath the grand locust tree at the village's entrance. The early summer sun was particularly relentless, making it unbearable to remain inside the vehicle without air conditioning. After sipping some water, the group settled beneath the tree to rest. However, after quite some time, there was still no sign of the stout one and his companion. They had been inside for over half an hour without any indication of their return. Xinghe glanced at the time, furrowing his brow with concern. Could something have gone awry? "Leader, help." Suddenly, the cries for assistance from the stout one and his companion echoed from deep within the village.